Chapter 743. In the arena of life and death, there was a huge formation world with mountains, lakes, flowers, insects, fish, and endless stars. It was like a real world. Jian Wushuang and De Shui were fighting in the arena of life and death, and everyone outside could see it clearly. The unparalleled sword essence seemed to pass through the arena of life and death, making everyone outside feel suffocated and depressed. Dugu Ninju Sword. This is the Dugu family's unique sword skill, second only to the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. The collision between the 7 strokes of heaven interception and the Dugu Ninju sword, ha ha ha. It's so exciting. The battle of the pinnacle of sword principle. This is a grand occasion for us sword cultivators. Many geniuses and experts who were watching the battle discussed animatedly. In particular, some of the sword cultivators were extremely excited. 4 sword cultivators on the War God continent. The Dugu family and the Sword God Pavilion were the 2 holy lands of sword principle, where countless sword cultivators yearned to go. The battle between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui made them feel like they were on a pilgrimage. It was as if they had witnessed the battle of the pinnacle of sword principle. Rumble. The Dugu Ninju sword was extremely swift and fierce. The demon aura in the sky turned into billions of Dugu sword chi, which instantly drowned Jian Wushuang's 7 strokes of heaven interception. The terrifying sword light intertwined, one white and one black. It was like the collision of light and darkness, bursting out tens of thousands of divine light. Die. Jian Wushuang's battle intent grew stronger and stronger. The 7 strokes of heaven interception seemed to have become his instinct. Every sword attack had a terrifying sword essence that could destroy the void. The mountains in all directions collapsed with a rumble, turning into fine powder under the unparalleled sword light. The ground was full of crisscrossing ravines. The terrifying sword essence seemed to have transcended the world and reached the supreme sword god realm. Come on. Dugu Shui's eyes were filled with demon aura, revealing a hint of madness. He fought like a madman, and the terrifying sword essence rose around him. The black great sky sword flew across the sky like an ancient sacred mountain, constantly suppressing Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's sword principle was exquisite to the extreme. He was like a god from outer space, and every sword contained extremely bright light. Dugu Shui, on the other hand, was like a crazy sword demon. The heavy sword in his hand sealed the world and suppressed with a terrifying aura. The 7 swords of heaven interception and the 9 swords of Dugu fought fiercely. Those incomparably exquisite sword techniques drew upon the power of the laws of heaven and earth, and they contained terrifying and monstrous power. Everyone was dazzled. Even the half-step supreme masters could not see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. They could only see a white sword light and a black sword light colliding rapidly. Only a few people could clearly see the figures of Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. Many people's gazes turned solemn. The power and terror of a sword cultivator were evident. They all asked themselves if they would have the courage to fight against Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui. More people were amazed. Jian Wushuang really lived up to his name. He was much younger than Dugu Shui, but he broke through everything with a peerless sharpness and stood opposite Dugu Shui. Who will win this battle? The same thought appeared in many people's minds. I'm afraid that's hard to say, but I still feel that Dugu Shui should be able to win. Although the 7 swords of heaven interception is strong, Jian Wushuang has only comprehended the sword god technique for a short period of time. Dugu Shui's Sword Demon Supreme Sutra is said to have cultivated to the realm of becoming a demon, or a god with a thought. It's unfathomable. An old man with an aged face and turbid eyes said slowly. However, his entire body emitted a mysterious fluctuation of sword intent. Obviously, this old man was also a powerful sword cultivator. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too straightforward. No matter who wins, either Jian Wushuang or Dugu Shui will die here today. Long Zhantian sighed softly. Die here? That won't happen. Both of them are peerless sword principle geniuses. Wouldn't it be a pity if they died like this? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and a trace of sharpness appeared in his eyes. Oh, brother Ling, could it be that you have a way? If you can resolve this battle, it will definitely be sword principle's fortune. Li Jingming's eyes also lit up. He had a good relationship with Jian Wushuang, but he felt that Jian Wushuang might not be Dugu Shui's opponent. In the end, Jian Wushuang might be the one to die. If Ling Xiao could save Jian Wushuang, it would naturally be a good thing. I do have a way, but let's see first. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Aha. I've seen arrogant people, but I've never seen such arrogance. You dare to say that you can resolve the battle between Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui? What a fool's dream. An ear-piercing voice sounded with a trace of disdain and a cold sneer. Who is it? Taoist Wuliang and Long Outyin were both furious and immediately turned their heads. They saw the sky-burning demon emperor in red armor. His red hair fluttered in the wind. His figure was strong and handsome, and his entire body exuded a terrifying aura. The blazing flame seemed to be able to burn the void. He stood side by side with Ziwei Xingzi. The surrounding people moved aside, and there was a trace of respect in their eyes. Sky-burning demon emperor? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He did not expect to meet the sky-burning demon emperor here. Moreover, the sky-burning demon emperor and Ziwei Xingzi were walking together. Ling Xiao, didn't you say that you could resolve this battle? Do you dare to make a bet with me? The sky-burning demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao coldly, and there was a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. He had been defeated by Ling Xiao on the trip to the holy ground. He had always thought that it was a great humiliation. In the end, what happened later made him realize that Ling Xiao was actually Long Hanyan's son. This made him even more furious, and he could not wait to kill Ling Xiao immediately. He could not even defeat Long Hanyan's son. What right did he have to say that he wanted to marry Long Hanyan? As a result, he even hated Long Hanyan. How do you want to bet? Ling Xiao looked at the sky-burning demon emperor indifferently and said. He could see the killing intent in the sky-burning demon emperor's eyes and knew the reason. It must be because the sky-burning demon emperor knew about his background. Very simple. I bet that Dugu Shui will survive this battle, and Jian Wushuang will definitely die. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. Although Jian Wushuang looked strong, one should know that in the holy ground Jian Wushuang, Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and a few other experts had joined forces to besiege the sky-burning demon emperor. In the end, they were utterly defeated. The sky-burning demon emperor knew better than anyone how terrifying Dugu Shui was because he had once been defeated by Dugu Shui. Therefore, he thought that Jian Wushuang would definitely lose and die in this battle. As long as Dugu Shui used the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, even if Jian Wushuang had comprehended the Sword God skill, he would still die. What do you want to bet? Ling Xiao asked indifferently. If I win, you will kneel before me and kowtow 3 times. If I lose, this celestial sun pearl will be yours. The sky-burning demon emperor sneered. There was a flash of light in his hand, and a fist-sized pearl appeared. It emitted a bright red glow, and was covered in a layer of blazing sun primordial fire. It was very mysterious. If Ling Xiao knelt before him and kowtowed 3 times, he would have vented his anger. Celestial sun pearl? Everyone shuddered and sucked in a breath of cold air. The celestial sun pearl was a top-tier supreme weapon refined by the great sun demon Honorable of the heavenly demon palace. He had collected the essence of the heavens and refined it in the extraterritorial starry sky for thousands of years. It could produce sun primordial fire that could burn the heavens and earth. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 744. A top-tier supreme artifact? It's a good item indeed, but why don't we play a bigger game? Ling Xiao was not angry. He squinted his eyes and glanced at the sky-scorching demon emperor. What do you want to bet? The sky-scorching demon emperor frowned. Ling Xiao was not satisfied with just a celestial pearl. I need a mount. If you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master and be my mount. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Do you want to die? The sky-scorching demon emperor's face turned cold, revealing a cold murderous intent. He was instantly enraged. He wanted the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? Even a supreme being or a deity was not qualified to do so. Who was Ling Xiao? How dare he ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? The crowd was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao was really daring to ask the sky-scorching demon emperor to be his mount? Everyone knew that the sky-scorching demon emperor's original form was the divine beast Fire Qilin. It was said that the heavenly emperor's mount was the Fire Qilin in ancient times. However, the sky-scorching demon emperor was so proud that he would not be willing to be someone's mount. Ling Xiao had touched the sky-scorching demon emperor's reverse scale. The crowd thought that the sky-scorching demon emperor would fly into a rage. If you don't dare, then forget it, Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. That's right. If you don't even dare to bet, then don't embarrass yourself here. Don't tell me you want my cousin to beat you up again? Long Outyan's eyes widened as he chuckled and said. The sky-scorching demon emperor suddenly took a deep breath and said, Fine. I'll bet with you, but if you lose, you have to acknowledge me as your master. The sky-scorching demon emperor's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. Your Highness, don't be impulsive. This guy is very cunning. I'm afraid that he has a way to win this battle. I'm afraid that the loss will outweigh the gain. Ziwei Xingzi advised with a wry smile when he saw the sky-scorching demon emperor agree so easily. Say no more. I've made up my mind. Ling Xiao, do you dare? The sky-scorching demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao provocatively. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm just afraid that you'll go back on your word. If that's the case, then make a heavenly oath. Ling Xiao smiled and took the lead to make a heavenly oath. This demon emperor's words carry enormous weight. I'm just afraid that you won't admit it if you lose. Ling Xiao, you've lost for sure this time. The sky-scorching demon emperor snorted coldly and swore an oath. He was very sure of Dugu Shue's battle strength. Even he could not take one strike from Dugu Shui. No matter how talented Jian Wushuang was, he would definitely lose this battle. The Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was so terrifying that anyone who had seen it was already dead. Legend has it that the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was created by the ancestor of the Dugu family, Dugu Qiubai. At that time, Dugu Qiubai was invincible in the world, roaming the heavens and myriad worlds, but he could not find a single defeat. Although the Sword God technique was one of the 3 great sword techniques, it was still no match for the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Everyone was dumbfounded. Ling Xiao and the sky-burning demon emperor were actually betting? They were betting on their freedom. If they lost, they would have to acknowledge the other as their master. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. The sky-burning demon emperor was not that impulsive. However, when he thought that Ling Xiao was Long Hanyan's son, he was burning with jealousy. He wanted to win Ling Xiao at all costs. When Ling Xiao acknowledged him as his master, he could torture Ling Xiao. This perverted mentality was also because of his feelings for Long Hanyan. As the saying goes, the deeper the love, the deeper the hatred. In the life and death arena, rumble. Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui collided rapidly. They had already exchanged hundreds of blows. Every blow was earth-shattering and extremely terrifying. Awesome. The 7 strokes of heaven interception is indeed extraordinary. Next, I'm going to perform the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Even I can't control the power of this sword. You have to be careful. Dugu Shui stood in the air, his black hair fluttering. His eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. All right. Let's see if your Sword Demon Supreme Sutra is stronger, or if my Sword God secret art is stronger. This sword will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. It was as if he had never known what fear was. All right, will determine victory and defeat, as well as life and death. Dugu Shui's eyes were extremely sharp. He slowly raised the great sky sword in his hand. Rumble. The heaven and earth trembled. Blazing thunderbolts filled the air. The great sky sword was heavy and mysterious. It was like an ancient divine mountain that suppressed chaos, exuding an incomparable aura of emptiness. When the Juntian sword was completely raised, the sky seemed to be torn apart. Endless demonic aura surged. Vaguely, a mysterious figure appeared on the Juntian sword. He stood with his hands behind his back, but he emitted a terrifying aura that made all living things in the world bow their heads. Is that Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai? Legend has it that although the ancestor of the Dugu family, Sword Demon Dugu Qiubai, is no longer around, his spirit has always been in the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. Anyone who has comprehended the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra can activate a trace of the Sword Demon's power. This is the power of the Sword Demon. It's not something that humans can do. Everyone's voice was trembling. Their eyes were filled with shock. Boom! Duge Shue slashed down with his sword. It was as if the sky had shattered and returned to chaos. The mysterious figure merged with the great sky sword and turned into a terrifying sword light that could destroy everything. It shrouded Jian Wushuang. Good timing. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with fighting intent. The great sky sword in his hand suddenly shone brightly. He also slashed across the sky. That sword was resplendent to the extreme. Boundless divine light sword, and the runes exploded. It was as if the mysterious scene of ascension to godhood had appeared. On top of the unparalleled divine sword, a mysterious sword spirit had awakened. This sword did not exist in the mortal world. It was as if a sword god had appeared and lit up the universe. It was so gorgeous that everyone felt that it was unreal. Sword demon versus sword god. Jian Wushuang has comprehended the sword god skill to such an extent. Sky-burning demon emperor was shocked. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Rumble. The arena of life and death turned into a vast expanse of whiteness. Nothing could be seen. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth moved slightly. A mysterious wave passed through the formation and into Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue's ears. What? Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue both trembled. They began to exert all their strength and frantically tried to withdraw the sword. Rumble. Rumble. The sky shook. How could the battle between sword god and sword demon be interrupted so easily? When Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue slashed out, it meant that the sword was no longer under their control. However, at the last moment, Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue's actions worked. Rumble. The sky shattered. Sword god, who shone with eternal light, and sword demon, who was filled with demonic aura, were submerged at the same time. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue were swept away by the terrifying power. They suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and were instantly severely injured. However, their lives were saved. If they had not withdrawn the power of the sword at the last moment, they would have been instantly killed by the sword chi. There would not even be a corpse left. Both sides were injured. Was this a draw? Everyone was stunned. This was a result that no one had expected. The battle between the sword god and the sword demon ended in a draw. Chapter 745. The Last Stroke, the Sword God Skill versus the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, was like a battle between the sword god and the sword demon. It was a battle of life and death. The sky-burning demon emperor could see that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue were likely to perish together. Who would have thought that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue would stop at the last moment? In the end, it was a draw and both of them were severely injured. Duge Shue, stand up. Stand up and kill him. The sky-burning demon emperor muttered to himself with a hint of expectation in his eyes. Duge Shue's injuries were obviously lighter. On the other hand, Jian Wushuang's body was almost broken. He was covered in blood and no longer had the strength to fight. This battle caused everyone to be shaken. Countless young geniuses were boiling with excitement. More than a year ago, Jian Wushuang was no match for the sky-burning demon emperor in the holy ground. But now he was on par with Duge Shue. Didn't that mean that Jian Wushuang had the strength to be on the master list? Duge Shue stood up with a complicated look in his eyes. He looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "If we didn't hold back in the last stroke, we would have perished together. But you and I have a mission. I'm afraid we can't die here. Why don't we call it a draw?" Jian Wushuang's eyes were sharp, but he couldn't even stand up. He stared at Duge Shue for a moment and nodded. "Okay, we'll call it a draw. I hope we can fight again in the Chosen One meeting." "Okay, it's a deal," Duge Shue said with a smile. Buzz. The formation of the arena of life and death was opened. The elders of the Sword God Pavilion and the Duge family rushed up and brought Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue down to take healing elixirs. At the same time, the two families breathed a sigh of relief. Jian Wushuang and Duge Shue were rare geniuses. If they died here at the same time, it would be a great loss to the two families. They were most willing to see such an ending. The sky-burning demon emperor's face instantly turned ugly. Sky-burning demon emperor, haha. Hurry up and fulfill the bet. I haven't seen what a pureblood fire Qilin looks like. Hurry up and show me your true form. Cousin said that you're my mount. Long Outyin was so excited that he almost fainted. He pointed at the sky-burning demon emperor and said arrogantly. Previously, Ling Xiao had said that he wanted to capture a divine beast Qilin as his mount, but he did not dare to think too much about it. He did not expect the sky-burning demon emperor to deliver himself to him. Ling Xiao also looked at the heaven-burning demon emperor with a faint smile. Everyone's eyes fell on the sky-burning demon emperor. The sky-scorching demon emperor's face turned green. However, he had lost. Even though he was burning with rage, he had no choice but to say patiently, "Ling Xiao, I've lost. This great solar heavenly pearl is yours, and I'll give you another 10 saint herbs." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "I don't think our bet was about this, right? Since you've lost, then acknowledge me as your master. Otherwise, under the backlash of the heavenly oath, I'm afraid it won't be long before you suffer from qi deviation and die." Ling Xiao, don't go too far. The sky-scorching demon emperor's eyes were about to spit fire. He said coldly, "Ling Xiao, I promise that from today onwards, I won't be your enemy. The great solar heavenly pearl and the 10 saint herbs are all yours. Let me go, how about it? Otherwise, the Sky Demon Palace will fight you to the death." Everyone was stunned. The sky-scorching demon emperor did not want to fulfill the bet and wanted to go back on his word. However, it made sense. After all, the sky-scorching demon emperor was the young master of the Sky Demon Palace, the future master of the Sky Demon Palace. He was also a pure-blooded divine beast fire Qilin. Naturally, he would be arrogant. How could he be willing to acknowledge Ling Xiao as his master and become his mount? However, he must have made a heavenly oath. If he dared to go back on his word, he would be punished by the heavens in an instant. You want to go back on your word? Sky-scorching demon emperor, I didn't expect you to be such a despicable person. A despicable person like you who goes back on his word is not fit to lead the demon race. However, the Sky Demon Palace is full of despicable people. Since that's the case, forget it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were full of mockery. He had expected the sky-scorching demon emperor to go back on his word. However, this guy had made a heavenly oath, so he was afraid he would suffer. Sky-scorching demon emperor, are you still a man? Going back on your word, who do you think you are? Everyone has seen it. When you die under the oath of the heavenly Tao, don't blame us. Long Outyin said with a cold smile. Fine. I'll acknowledge you as my master. The sky-scorching demon emperor gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. His eyes were spitting fire as he glared at Ling Xiao. After that, he walked up without saying a word and bowed to Ling Xiao. Greetings, master. You're my master from now on. Although I agreed to be your mount, I didn't say it would be now. However, master, you have to be careful. If you die in the Heavenly Choice Convention, don't blame me for being impolite. The sky-scorching demon emperor glared fiercely at Ling Xiao. After that, he turned around and left without waiting for Ling Xiao to speak. His speed was so fast that it could be described as flying. Bastard! Sky-scorching demon emperor, you're not a man. You're cheating. Long Outyin was so angry that he cried out loudly. Seeing such a powerful mount actually run away, he was incomparably depressed. This was also a loophole that the sky-scorching demon emperor took advantage of. After all, when Ling Xiao made a bet with him, it was impossible for him to explain the bet in detail. The sky-scorching demon emperor only acknowledged Ling Xiao as his master verbally, but he still refused to be disciplined. Everyone was dumbfounded. How could this be? Ling Xiao patted Long Outyin. He was not angry and smiled indifferently. It's okay. When the Heavenly Choice Convention comes, he'll be my mount sooner or later. At that time, if he doesn't listen to me, I'll beat him until he does. This bastard really got off easy. Long Outyin's face was full of resentment. However, everyone knew that the sky-scorching demon emperor's reputation would be completely ruined from now on. Ziwei Xingzi glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently and turned to leave. Ling Xiao, how did you know that Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui would draw? Didn't they say that it would be a life and death battle? Phoenix Girl asked curiously. Everyone was very curious. After all, in the arena of life and death, it was extremely rare for Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui to stop after a draw. Because I transmitted a message to Jian Wushuang and Duge Shui, saying that they are brothers and should love each other. They shouldn't fight and kill. Do you believe me? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. I don't believe you. Phoenix Girl rolled her eyes and said. At this moment, Jian Wushuang and Du Shui took healing elixirs and temporarily stabilized their injuries. After that, they walked towards Ling Xiao. Chapter 746. Du Shui also looked at Ling Xiao with curiosity in his eyes. This young man, who had defeated the sky-burning demon emperor and entered the green cloud ranking, seemed to only be a half-step sovereign. However, he gave off a dangerous feeling. Just now, Jian Wushuang and Du Shui had stopped fighting, because Ling Xiao had said something to them. If you want to know, then follow me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Everyone returned to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion, and asked for a private room. Ling Xiao set up a layer of restrictive power, enveloping the entire room. Ling Xiao, Sword God and Sword Demon are of the same origin. What do these words mean? Du Shui looked at Ling Xiao seriously and asked. Before answering your question, I want to ask you a question. What's the relationship between you and Du Longcheng? Ling Xiao glanced at Du Shui and asked. Du Longcheng? How do you know my second grandfather's name? Du Shui stared at Ling Xiao with a sharp look in his eyes. Your second grandfather? I just heard that Sky-Devouring Supreme had a true disciple named Du Longcheng. I didn't expect it to be true. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he smiled faintly. My second grandfather was indeed Sky-Devouring Supreme's second disciple, but he died in the catastrophe 10,000 years ago. Du Shui sighed softly. Ling Xiao, does Du Longcheng have anything to do with what you told us? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. When he and Du Shui were fighting, it was Ling Xiao who said that Sword God and Sword Demon were of the same origin that made them give up the fight. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's mind was filled with these words. Du Longcheng has nothing to do with it, but it has something to do with Du Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Du Qiubai? You mean our ancestor? Du Shui was shocked. That's right. Jian Wushuang, do you know who left the Sword God skill? Ling Xiao looked at Jian Wushuang and asked. Sword God skill? Of course, it was left by the Sword God, the founder of the Sword God Pavilion. When he mentioned the Sword God, even Jian Wushuang's eyes revealed a hint of reverence. Anyone who practiced the Sword God technique would be able to experience the power of the Sword God. That kind of ultimate state of Sword Dao was simply not something that ordinary people could comprehend. Then do you know who the Sword God is? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly and said, the ancestral master of Sword God is a figure from ancient times. His true identity can no longer be verified. I also don't know his true identity. What if I tell you that the Sword God is Du Qiubai? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Du Qiubai? This is impossible. Both Jian Wushuang and Du Shui were shocked. Their eyes were filled with shock as they denied it at the same time. Nothing is impossible. Sword God is Du Qiubai, Sword Demon is Du Qiubai, and even Old Man Chongqing is Du Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. There was a trace of emotion in his eyes. Old Man Chongqing? How is this possible? It is said that the longevity secret, one of the 3 great sword skills, was left behind by Old Man Chongqing. If what you said is true, then the 3 supreme sword skills of the War God continent were all left behind by our ancestor, Du Qiubai. Du Shui was completely shocked. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. You are right. The 3 supreme sword skills of the War God continent, Sword God Technique, Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, and Longevity Secret, were all left behind by Du Qiubai. Ling Xiao sighed softly and said slowly, there is a kind of person in this world who is born extraordinary. Du Qiubai started practicing swordsmanship at the age of 3. At the age of 5, he had already made a name for himself. At the age of 7, he held the meter-long sword and destroyed 38 bandit strongholds. At the age of 11, he left home and wandered around, challenging all the heroes in the world. At the age of 18, he entered the Sword Dao and became a Supreme Master. He killed Supreme Masters, destroyed celestial demons, and guarded the 8 barren lands. At the age of 18, he created the Sword God technique. With one sword, he was invincible. At the age of 18, he lived in seclusion in a valley for 30 years. He observed the heavenly Tao and the human Tao. He entered the demon Tao and created the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. The day he came out of seclusion, he killed 3 titled Supreme Masters and shocked the world. He traveled around the universe and searched for the strongest in the world, but he was defeated by all of them. At the age of 60, he sealed his swordsmanship. He observed the heavenly Tao and derived the mystery of longevity. Finally, he entered the swordless realm. With one sword he reversed yin and yang, broke through time and space and cut through the chaos. He created the longevity secret and ascended to the eternal divine world. He left behind a legend for the future generations to know. Ling Zhao's voice was calm, but his words were like thunder that shook the hearts of the people. It was as if they had seen a peerless swordsman who dominated the world and swept away the eternal loneliness of invincibility. Dugu Qiubai, he only wanted to be defeated. What kind of peerless talent was this? What kind of invincibility and loneliness was this? Even Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui were dazzled. They wished they were born in the same era as Dugu Qiubai, so they could witness this legend. That's why the sword god art was created by Dugu Qiubai, after reaching the supreme realm at the age of 18. At that time, his sword Tao was unstoppable with an unparalleled sharpness. It was a peerless sword. The Sword Demon Supreme Sutra was created by Dugu Qiubai when he was 48 years old. He lived in seclusion in a valley and observed the heavenly Tao and the human Tao. He wanted to defeat the heavens with his own strength. He wanted to rule the world as a demon and be invincible forever. The longevity secret was created by Dugu Qiubai when he was 60 years old. He ascended to the divine world and broke the mystery of longevity. He comprehended the swordless realm and became the sword of heaven's will. Ling Xiao said slowly. Therefore the sword god pavilion, the Dugus, and even the Changsun sect that obtained the longevity secret are all the orthodoxies left behind by Dugu Qiubai. The sword demon and the sword god are of the same origin. It's not wrong to say that the two of you are from the same sect. How do you know about this? Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui stared at Ling Xiao and asked. After hearing Ling Zhao's words, they believed 90% of it. In the last battle of life and death, Jian Wushuang and Dugu Shui both felt a strange aura. It was as if the Sword God technique and Sword Demon Supreme Sutra had a tendency to merge at the moment of life and death. Even so, they still wanted to know how Ling Xiao found out about all this. Because I'm the successor of the longevity secret. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he smiled faintly. The Longevity Supreme Sutra was actually the longevity secret. It contained the longevity sword qi and was extremely powerful. 10,000 years ago, Jinsei relied on the Longevity Supreme Sutra and the longevity sword to defeat all the heroes in the world and become one of the 10 titled Supreme Masters. Since Ling Xiao had obtained the Longevity Supreme Sutra, it was not wrong to say that he was the successor of the longevity secret. Chapter 747. What? You're the successor of the longevity skill? Didn't the longevity sect disappear? Dugu Shui asked, looking at Ling Xiao in shock. The longevity sect just hid from the world. They didn't disappear. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and extended his hand. A ball of dazzling, milky white light instantly turned into streaks of unparalleled sharpness. They radiated with an endless ripple of energy, as if they could cut through the void. Is this the longevity sword qi? So you're the successor of the longevity sect. If there's a chance, I'll definitely have a fight with you. Jian Wushuang looked at the longevity sword qi in Ling Zhao's palm curiously, a strong fighting desire in his eyes. 10,000 years ago, the sky-devouring supreme patriarch of the longevity sect found the information left behind by Dugu Qiubai in a relic. It's what I just said. It confirms that the 3 supreme sword skills of the war god continent were all left behind by Dugu Qiubai. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He was so sure because 10,000 years ago, when he and the real dragon supreme patriarch were exploring the Scarlet Dragon war god's tomb, they accidentally found some information left behind by Dugu Qiubai. It was only then that they truly understood the relationship between the 3 sword skills. Moreover, Dugu Longqing was Ling Zhao's second disciple in his previous life. Ling Xiao also had some understanding of the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra. When he comprehended it together with the longevity sword qi, he did find the aura of the same origin. If you don't believe me, you can exchange martial arts skills. Once you cultivate the Sword God skill and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra, you'll find that they are originally one. However, I know this is a big deal. You can ask the elders in your family. I just didn't want to see you kill each other in the arena of life and death. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Of course, the bet with the sky-burning demon emperor was incidental. Jian Wushuang and Du Guxue looked at each other. Although it had not been verified, they both believed Ling Xiao's words. The 3 supreme sword skills of the war god continent were all left behind by Du Guqiubai. This was earth-shattering news. Ling Xiao did not hide it from Long Zhantian, Li Jingming and the others. They were also incomparably shocked. This was especially so for Li Jingming and Lin Hui. When they heard that Ling Xiao was the successor of the legendary longevity sect, the #1 sect in the world 10,000 years ago, the holy land of martial arts that produced the sky-devouring supreme and the longevity sect, they were instantly filled with respect. On the other hand, Taoist Wuliang, Moon God, Phoenix Lady Long Zhantian, and Long Outyan already knew about the relationship between Ling Xiao and Changsun sect. Hence they were very calm. Thank you, Brother Ling. If not for your reminder, we would have made a huge mistake. Du Guxue looked at Ling Xiao seriously. This matter is too serious. We must report this to the sect as soon as possible. Jian Wushuang made a prompt decision. If it was proven that the Sword God technique and the Sword Demon Supreme Sutra came from the same source, then the relationship between the Sword God Pavilion and the Dugu family would be worth considering. Jian Wushuang and Du Guxue said their goodbyes and left. Before leaving, Du Guxue reminded Ling Xiao, Brother Ling, the successor of the War God Temple has already arrived in Heaven Choice City. Recently, Ziwei Xingzi and the Sky-Burning Demon Emperor have been very close to the successor of the War God Temple. You have to be careful. The successor of the War God Temple? Alright, thank you. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he nodded. Ling Xiao also wanted to see how powerful the successor of the War God Temple, who was ranked first on the Green Cloud ranking, was. Ling Xiao faintly felt that perhaps in the Heaven Choice Convention, the successor of the War God Temple would be his greatest opponent. Young friend Ling, please come to Taiguxian for a chat. Suddenly, an old voice was transmitted into Ling Xiao's mind. Mu Tianji? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The person who transmitted the message was the current king of the Tomb Monarch City, Mu Tianji. Alright. Ling Xiao nodded. He did not expect Mu Tianji to be in Heaven Choice City. Ling Xiao told Taoist Wuliang and the rest that he was going to meet an old friend. He then left Heaven's Pride House alone and headed towards Taiguxian. Taiguxian was also in Heaven Choice City, and it was considered a foothold in the Tomb Monarch City. Taiguxian was hidden in a small alley, and it looked like a very old shop. Mu Tianji was sitting on a recliner in Taiguxian, looking very relaxed. Beside him was a handsome young man who exuded an aura similar to Mu Tianji's. He had already reached the half-step to Supreme Master Realm, and had passed the 3 divine tribulations. He was only 1 step away from the Raging Fire Tribulation. This young man was obviously a disciple of the Tomb Monarch City. When he saw Ling Xiao enter, he looked at him curiously. Young friend Ling, you're here? Mu Tianji immediately stood up with a smile on his face. After we parted at Two World City, I didn't expect you to display your might in the Saint Ground, defeating the sky-scorching Demon Emperor, and even killing the Leopard Venerable at the Mountain of Flames. Now that you're on the Green Sky ranking, your name has spread across the entire War God continent. Congratulations. It's just an empty title. May I know why Lord Mu has called me here? Ling Xiao waved his hand and said casually. This time, I would like to ask you for a favor. Mu Tianji looked at Ling Xiao seriously. Oh, what is it? Ling Xiao asked. I hope that you can help us find the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. Mu Tianji slowly said. The 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. You already have news about it? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked in surprise. That's right. Previously, we thought that the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate was in the Saint Ground. Later on, we found out that the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate had always been in the Cavern of Time. We've already received accurate information, but I believe that with your help, we'll definitely be able to obtain it. Mu Tianji said. The 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate is in the Cavern of Time? Since Lord Mu knows about it, it should be easy for you to enter the Cavern of Time with your strength, right? Why are you looking for me? Ling Xiao was puzzled. The people of the Tomb King city had a bloodline curse that prevented them from breaking through to the supremacy realm. However, Mu Tianji's strength was terrifying even though he was only at the Four Symbols Tribulation. Ling Xiao didn't understand why Mu Tianji would need his help. The key is that the War God Temple has also received this news. Plus, they're determined to obtain the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate, so I can't enter the Cavern of Time. Mu Tianji smiled wryly. War God Temple? Why would they want the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate? The general principles and the first few chapters are all with you. Even if they obtain the 9th chapter, it's useless, right? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't expect the War God Temple to want the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. I don't know. He's Mu Xian, my grandson, and also the most talented person in the younger generation of the Tomb King city. This time, he'll enter the Cavern of Time to search for the 9th chapter of Heavenly Mandate. Although he's not weak, he's not a match for the successor of the War God Temple. That's why I need your help, Mu Tianji earnestly said with a humble attitude. Chapter 748. The successor of the War God Temple? City Lord Mu, aren't you overestimating me? The successor of the War God Temple is number 1 on the Green Sky ranking. How can you be so sure that I can take the 9th chapter from him? Ling Xiao said with a smile. His eyes flashed with a bright light. Little friend Ling, I've never misjudged people. I believe that you can help me get the 9th chapter. Even if it's the successor of the War God Temple. I believe that only you can deal with him. Mu Tianji smiled faintly. Furthermore, I won't let little friend Ling help me for nothing. Within the Time Cave, there's a supreme divine herb called the longevity grass. I'm willing to tell little friend Ling about this divine herb. Longevity grass, the divine medicine? Ling Xiao's eyes widened. The longevity grass was indeed a supreme divine herb left behind by Duguqiubai. However, it had disappeared a long time ago. He didn't expect it to be in the Time Cave. City Lord Mu, since you know about the longevity grass, why haven't you sent people to get it after so many years? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ha. I won't hide it from you, little friend Ling. The place where the longevity grass grows is a broken small world. It's very dangerous. When we went in the last few times, the longevity grass wasn't fully mature. But after 1,000 years, the longevity grass should be fully mature. Furthermore, I believe that those dangers are nothing to little friend Ling. Mu Tianji laughed heartily. Alright. The longevity grass is very important to me. I'll do my best to help Brother Mu Xian get the 9th chapter in the Time Cave. Ling Xiao chuckled. He knew that there was something strange about the longevity grass, but he had to get it. As for dealing with the descendant of the War God Temple, getting the 9th chapter of Heavens was only a matter of convenience. Thank you, little friend Ling. This is the map of the longevity grass. If young friend Ling can help us obtain the 9th chapter of Heaven's will, then you will be the savior of our city. Mu Tianji solemnly said as he took out a black jade talisman and handed it to Ling Xiao. City Lord Mu, aren't you afraid that I won't help you after taking the map? You should know that the War God Temple is immeasurably strong. Do you really think that I would offend them and help you? Ling Xiao received the jade talisman and looked at Mu Tianji with a smile that was not a smile. I believe in you. Mu Tianji smiled faintly, his expression extremely calm. Alright. Since that's the case, I'll try my best to find Brother Mu Xian after the Cavern of Time opens. And then I'll go look for the 9th chapter of Destiny. Ling Xiao nodded, then turned around and left the ancient loft. Walking on the main street of Heaven's Choice City, people came and went on both sides of the street. They were all young geniuses with confident smiles on their faces. The surrounding shops, restaurants, inns, and shops were all bustling with activity. Ling Xiao originally intended to return to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. However, after turning 2 streets, he arrived at a street filled with stalls. This was a trading market. The stalls on both sides of the street were all powerful warriors. Ling Xiao noticed that all of them were at least at the monarch realm. And there were even many old fellows at the quasi-exalt realm. The items on the stalls were also a mix of good and bad. There were precious weapons, supreme divine medicines, powerful precious pills, and mysterious antiques. They all looked like sparkling treasures, causing one to be overwhelmed. However, Ling Xiao also knew that there were all sorts of things here. There were genuine goods, but there were also fakes. It all depended on one's eyesight. 10,000 years old deep-sea pearls. Let's walk around and take a look. They come from the bottom of the Eastern Sea and are supreme treasures used to refine supreme-grade Dao weapons and Dao pills. They only cost 3,000 pure yang pills. The ancient human emperor's saber, the heavenly dragon blade. Although it's a little damaged, it's still a quasi-supreme weapon. One slash to break mountains and rivers, one slash to enter the cycle of reincarnation. It's a must-have treasure for traveling. It only costs 100,000 pure yang pills. The 9 nether bottle refined by the 9 nether sovereign. It's a supreme-grade Dao weapon. 30,000 pure yang pills. Hawking sounds could be heard all around. These warriors were like peddlers in the mortal world, vigorously promoting the treasures on their stalls to the people on both sides of the street. Brother, I see that you have an imposing appearance and extraordinary spirit. I have an ancient sword here. I wonder if you're interested? Ling Xiao walked past a stall and saw a shifty-eyed old man with a goatee. He wore a tattered beast skin coat and spoke to Ling Xiao politely. Not interested. Ling Xiao did not even look at him. This old man looked like he was only in the noble realm. It could be said that he had the lowest cultivation among the stall owners. What good things could he have? Little brother, don't be so quick to reject. This sword of mine has a great history. It's the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme from 10,000 years ago, the Devouring Sky Sword. Although it was severely damaged in the catastrophe 10,000 years ago, and only has the power of a supreme-grade Dao weapon now. If you can repair it, it'll be a powerful divine weapon. The goateed old man's spittle flew everywhere as he sneakily took out a silver longsword. It looked ancient and resplendent, but it didn't have any spiritual fluctuations. When Ling Xiao saw the longsword, his eyes narrowed suddenly, but he quickly regained his composure. The sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme. Why don't you say that it's the sword of the Scarlet Dragon War God? You have the nerve to say that it's the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme with such a lousy sword? Can you at least make up a more convincing excuse if you want to lie? Ling Xiao looked at the old man from the corner of his eyes and said angrily, Little brother, I dug this Devouring Sky sword out from the ruins of the Longevity sect. Look, there's the word Devouring Sky on it. Don't be ignorant. I'm fated with you, so I'll sell it to you for 500,000 pure yang pills. What do you think? The old man with the goatee did not give up, and insisted on selling the sword to Ling Xiao. Ha ha ha. Old man Lu, can you stop lying to everyone you see? You want to buy 500,000 pure yang pills with this lousy sword of yours? No one will buy it even if you sell it for 1,000 pure yang pills. Little brother, don't be fooled by him. This old man is called Lu Tongtian. He likes to scam people with useless things. That's right. This is not the sword of the Devouring Sky Supreme. It's his grandson's sword. This guy has been selling it for so many years, and he still hasn't sold it. The surrounding stall owners all tried to persuade Ling Xiao. Grandpa, come and eat. At this time, a clear child's voice rang out. A little boy around 8 or 9 years old with a braid on his head walked towards the old man with the goatee. He looked like he was carved from jade, and was very cute. He carried a bamboo basket, and walked towards the old man with the goatee. Jinny, come here quickly. This uncle wants to buy your sword. Do you want to sell it to him? Lu Tongtian's eyes lit up and he quickly grabbed the little boy. He's called Lu Jianni. Ling Zhao's eyes widened as he asked hurriedly. There was a slight tremor in his voice. That's right. He's my grandson. His name is Lu Jianni. Little brother, let me tell you. This sword is indeed the Devouring Sky Sword. If you don't buy it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Lu Tongtian did not notice Ling Zhao's strange behavior, and continued to persuade him. At this moment, Ling Zhao's heart was in turmoil. This was because his fourth disciple in his previous life was called Lu Jianyi. Chapter 749. The sword that Lu Tongtian had taken out was not the sky-swallowing sword, but the Migres ancient sword. However, the Migres ancient sword had been sealed by someone using a mysterious technique. That was why it looked so ordinary. Even a supreme being would not be able to tell the difference. And the owner of the Migres ancient sword was Ling Zhao's fourth disciple, Lu Jianyi. Could it be that Jianyi Zhang has lived for a lifetime? Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with shock as he thought to himself. This 8- or 9-year-old child had big clear eyes and looked very innocent. At this moment, his eyes were also wide open as he looked at Ling Zhao curiously. Ling Zhao took another long look at Lu Tongtian. Although Lu Tongtian only seemed to be in the noble plane, the wordless heavenly book in Ling Zhao's mind trembled slightly. Could it be that Lu Tongtian was hiding his cultivation? Ling Zhao thought to himself. The Migres ancient sword was here, and this child was called Lu Jianyi. Ling Zhao was almost 90% sure that Lu Jianyi was his fourth disciple. Lu Tongtian was still looking at Ling Zhao with his shifty eyes. His expression was natural, and there was nothing wrong with it. I can buy this sword for 500,000 pure yang pills, but I have a condition. I hope you can agree to it. Ling Zhao said to Lu Tongtian. Really? No problem. As long as you are willing to buy this sword, I will agree to 100 or even 1,000 conditions. Lu Tongtian was beaming with joy. He looked like a money grubber. Little brother, don't be fooled by old Lu. This sword is really not worth so many pure yang pills. An old stall owner tried to persuade Ling Zhao when he saw that Ling Zhao really wanted to buy the sword. Thank you, sir. This sword is indeed useful to me. Ling Zhao smiled faintly and thanked the stall owner for his kind intentions. I can give you 1 million pure yang pills. However, your grandson and I hit it off right away. We must be fated. Why don't you let your grandson be my disciple? Ling Zhao said with a smile. Disciple? Lu Tongtian and the surrounding stall owners were all stunned. This kid spent 1 million pure yang pills to buy a broken sword, and he even wanted to take in a little girl as his disciple. Was there something wrong with his head? Although Lu Jianyi looked very smart, in the eyes of those stall owners, his aptitude was only average. There was nothing amazing about him. That's right, I want to take Jianyi as my disciple. Ling Zhao said seriously. Lu Tongtian took a deep look at Ling Zhao and suddenly laughed and said, Ha ha ha. I wonder what is little brother's great name? I can see that little brother is talented and has an extraordinary bearing. You must be a dragon or phoenix among men. I am Ling Zhao. Ling Zhao. Don't tell me he's Ling Zhao, the one who defeated the sky-burning demon emperor and ranked 10th on the honor roll of Azure Sky. As soon as Ling Zhao finished speaking, the surrounding stall owners exclaimed in surprise. If one were to talk about the news that shook the entire War God continent during this period of time, other than the opening of the Heaven's Choice meeting and Long Lai's confirmation of his title, it was the news of Ling Zhao entering the Azure Sky proclamation. The cultivation of these stall owners was extremely high, and many of them were preparing to participate in the Heaven's Choice meeting. Therefore, as soon as Ling Zhao announced his name, they guessed his origin. If there is no one with the same name in this world, then it would be me. Ling Zhao smiled faintly. It's really Ling Zhao. Old man Lu, you've struck gold this time. This young masterling is a prodigy on the Azure Sky proclamation, and he's even killed a supreme being. If your grandson takes him as his master, his future will be limitless. The surrounding stall owners' expressions changed, revealing an incomparably respectful expression. Some even revealed looks of envy. What did this little boy do to deserve this? How could he make Ling Zhao take him as his disciple? So it's young Master Ling. Since young Master Ling has taken a fancy to Jianyi, then it's his fortune. I'll make the decision on Jianyi's behalf and agree. In the future, young Master Ling will be Jianyi's. Lu Tongtian's eyes revealed a trace of surprise as he nodded and smiled. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted. Wait. A calm yet cold voice was heard. A group of handsome young men and women walked over from afar. Each of them had an extraordinary cultivation and a powerful aura. They were all half-step supreme being cultivators, emitting a cold and arrogant aura. They clustered around a handsome young man wearing a purple golden armor as he walked over. It was a flawless young man. His figure was tall, and his entire body was enveloped in a layer of dense purple light. His hair was also purple, like the most dazzling purple clouds, dense and full of luster. His skin was like jade, sparkling and translucent. His entire body emitted a jade-like aura. His face was extremely handsome, with a faint smile on his lips. He strolled over like a young immortal king, as if he was the center and focus of the world wherever he went. The surrounding young men and women looked at him with eyes full of worship and infatuation. As the young man approached, Ling Xiao felt an extremely dangerous feeling. Someone who has survived the tribulation of the four symbols and can make me feel so threatened. Could it be the successor of the Temple of War? Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat, but his expression did not change. Sir, can I take a look at this sword? The young man walked up to Lu Tongtian and smiled faintly. His voice was very gentle, but for some reason, Ling Xiao felt that under that gentle smile, there was an extremely cold and arrogant attitude, with an unquestionable authority. Here. Lu Tongtian looked at him and handed the Migres ancient sword over. The young man took a closer look at the Migres ancient sword, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. He then looked at Lu Jianyi and said slowly, "This ancient sword is not bad, I'll buy it. No matter how many pure yang pills it is, it's not a problem. Also, I like your grandson very much, and I would like to take him as my disciple. Is that possible?" The surrounding stall owners were stunned. Is this young man here to cause trouble? Ling Xiao had just said that he wanted to buy this ancient sword and take Lu Jianyi as his disciple, and this young man actually made the same request. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, and he frowned slightly. "Sir, may I know your name? But this little brother Ling Xiao has already bid 1,000,000 pure yang pills. You're making things difficult for me." Lu Tongtian rolled his eyes and chuckled. 3,000,000 pure yang pills. The young man said faintly without even looking at Ling Xiao. "Old man, my master is the successor of the Temple of War. It's your grandson's fortune that he's willing to take him as his disciple. Why aren't you kneeling down and thanking him?" Beside the young man, a young man in a green robe, who looked extremely arrogant, sneered. The successor of the Temple of War. Chapter 750. First place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard, and the successor of the War God Temple. No matter which identity it was enough to stir up the entire War God continent. This was an absolute prodigy. No matter where he went, he would be the center of attention. However, thinking back to the words of the successor of the War God Temple, he actually wanted to buy the sword and take Lu Jianyi as his disciple. Was he trying to cause trouble for Ling Xiao? Everyone's expression suddenly became a little strange. First place and 10th place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard? Although everyone knew that Ling Xiao's strength was definitely higher than the 10th place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard, they still thought that Ling Xiao would give in front of the successor of the War God Temple. "Little brother Ling, this young master bid 3,000,000 pure yang pills. Although you came first, I can't break the rules, can I?" Lu Tongtian rubbed his hands and said embarrassedly. Everyone immediately rolled their eyes and cursed in their hearts. This old man Lu is simply too greedy. He still dares to raise the price at a time like this. Doesn't he know that he can't afford to offend Ling Xiao or the successor of the War God Temple? 5,000,000 pure yang pills. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He still had tens of millions of pure yang pills on him. The Migres ancient sword couldn't fall into the hands of the successor of the War God Temple. He had to take Lu Jianyi with him. He even suspected that the successor of the War God Temple had seen through him. 8,000,000. The successor of the War God Temple smiled faintly. 10,000,000. 15,000,000. 16,000,000. Ling Xiao and the successor of the War God Temple continued to raise the price. Soon, the price reached an unimaginable level. Lu Tongtian's eyes lit up. He felt as if a large number of pure yang pills were being thrown at him. 50,000,000 pure yang pills. Ling Xiao increased the price by 10,000,000. This was all the pure yang pills he had on him. This was already a sky-high price. Even the successor of the War God Temple frowned slightly. It wasn't that he couldn't afford it, but he felt that it was a bit risky to spend so many pure yang pills on an ancient sword that was still uncertain. Ling Xiao, right? My lord likes this ancient sword very much. If you're willing to give it up, my lord is willing to befriend you. The green-robed young man beside the successor of the war god temple said arrogantly. I'm sorry, but this sword and Lu Jiani are fated to be mine. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, not even looking at him. Ling Xiao, don't you dare refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Don't think you have the right to be smug just because you've defeated the sky-scorching demon emperor. You should know that there's always someone better than you. You're nothing before my master. Seeing that Ling Xiao didn't even look at him, the young man's face turned ugly. His name was Feng Jilin, and he was the successor of the Feng clan. Moreover, he had already passed the tribulation of 3 symbols. Although he had sided with the successor of the War God Hall, even the people on the Azure Sky rankings were polite to him. Ling Xiao, a brat who had just become a half-step Jizuan, actually dared to look down on him? Cut the crap. If you can't afford it, then get lost. Don't show off here. Ling Xiao glanced at Feng Jilin and sneered. On the surface he seemed to be scolding the Wind Forest, but in reality, he was also scolding the successor of the War God Temple. For some reason, when Ling Xiao saw the successor of the War God Temple, he didn't have any good impression of him. 60 million pure yang pills. The successor of the War God Temple looked at Ling Xiao indifferently, and continued to bid. What he didn't lack the least was pure yang pills. Compared to pure yang pills, the face of the successor of the War God Temple was more valuable. What was a mere pure yang pill worth? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. All the pure yang pills he had on him added up to 50 million. Old man, I'll bid 50 million pure yang pills and a paragon martial art. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. The surrounding people were shocked. A paragon martial art wasn't something that could be found on the streets. Only titled sovereigns, or even unparalleled gods, could create a paragon martial art. For an ordinary sovereign expert, creating a Tian-level martial art was already very good. A paragon martial art was worth at least 30 million pure yang pills. No more pure yang pills? I'd like to see how many paragon martial arts you have. I'll bid 100 million pure yang pills. The successor of the War God Temple revealed a trace of sharpness in his eyes as he slowly said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Pure yang pills? To buy such a broken sword, could it really be a supreme treasure? For Ling Xiao and the successor of the War God Temple to fight to such an extent. Even the stall owners who believed that the sword was a piece of trash couldn't help but mutter. Could it be that they had misjudged the sword? Lu Tongtian was still smiling as his eyes shone. Originally, he only wanted to sell the sword for 500,000 pure yang pills. He didn't expect that the price would be raised to 100 million pure yang pills. Grandfather, this sword isn't worth that many pure yang pills, right? Even if you have 100 million pure yang pills, it won't be able to cure my illness. Lu Jiani pulled on Lu Tongtian's sleeve and whispered. Jiani, what illness do you have? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't find any problems with Lu Jiani's body. Other than the fact that he didn't have any cultivation. He looked very healthy. Big brother, my grandfather said that I have a terminal illness and I won't live past 20 years old. So don't fight. This sword isn't worth so many pure yang pills. Lu Jiani blinked his big clear eyes and said. Lu Tongtian's face showed a trace of age. He sighed softly and said, Jiani has the 9-yin demonic body. Her meridians are naturally terminated. Only the legendary supreme divine medicine can cure her. Gentlemen, if you have any divine medicine, take it out and exchange it for this sword. If you don't, then please leave. I'm not selling this sword. 9-yin demonic body. Ling Xiao's body trembled. He quickly grabbed Lu Jiani's small hand and probed with a wisp of heaven-devouring true qi. He immediately found that there were 9 black demonic qi entrenched around Lu Jiani's heart meridians. Moreover, they had merged with Lu Jiani's heart meridians, causing Lu Jiani's life origin to become extremely weak. However, on the surface she looked like an ordinary person. The 9-yin demonic body was a naturally terminated body in the legends. Only the legendary supreme divine medicine could cure her. Otherwise, She would die without a doubt and wouldn't live past 20 years old. I do have a divine medicine with me. Unfortunately, it might be useless for Jianyi's 9 demonic body. Ling Xiao glanced at Lu Tongtian and said slowly. Oh, what kind of divine medicine is it? Lu Tongtian's eyes suddenly lit up. Explosive dendrobium. Ling Xiao said. Lu Tongtian's body trembled. His eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. He quickly grabbed Ling Xiao's arm and said, the explosive dendrobium you mentioned. Is it a divine medicine that was born from nature and gathers the divine strength of the four symbols and the chaotic power of heaven and earth? The explosive dendrobium that will explode no matter what it encounters. Chapter 751. This is great news, this is great news. According to my calculations, the explosive dendrobium is the best medicine to cure the 9 demonic body. Little brother, if you hand over the explosive dendrobium, I'll give you the sword and let Sword 1 become your disciple. Lu Tongtian said excitedly. As for the successor of the war god Hall, he frowned slightly. The green-robed youth beside him couldn't take it anymore. He sneered. Old man, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If our Lord wants something, you have to hand it over today whether you want to or not. Lu Tongtian glanced at the successor of the combat god Hall and said, I'm sorry, I'm not selling this sword. You guys can leave. Old man, you dare to trick us? The green-robed youth's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. A powerful aura enveloped Lu Tongtian. To him, Lu Tongtian was just an ant in the noble realm. As long as he released his aura, Lu Tongtian would probably kneel down in fear. But to his disappointment, Lu Tongtian didn't seem to be affected at all. Instead, Lu Tongtian looked at Ling Xiao with anticipation. This is the explosive dendrobium. Ling Xiao's hand flashed and 5-colored light spread out, forming a mysterious barrier. Inside it was a black stone flower that looked very ordinary. When Lu Tongtian saw it, he said excitedly, That's right, it's the legendary explosive dendrobium. Everyone looked curiously at the exploding dendrobium in Ling Xiao's hand. It was a legendary divine medicine, but it was also a useless medicine. Yet Lu Tongtian treated it like a treasure. He didn't even want 100 million pure yang pills? The successor of the combat god Hall glanced at Ling Xiao and said, You're Ling Xiao, right? I'll remember you. In the chosen one. I'd like to see if your strength is worthy of your arrogance. There are many people who remember me. You're not the only one. In the chosen one, I'd also like to see if the so-called first place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard is just fishing for fame. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and replied, Let's go. The successor of the combat god Hall glanced at Ling Xiao with a bright light in his eyes. He then led the crowd away. After the successor of the war god temple left, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure he gave everyone was simply too great. First place on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. He wasn't a Supremes, but he had killed 5 Supremes by himself. His terrifying strength made everyone respect and fear him. At the same time, some people looked at Ling Xiao with schadenfreude. Ling Xiao had thoroughly offended the successor of the war god temple. He was going to suffer in the Heavenly Choice Convention. Old sir, are you so sure that the explosive dendrobium can heal the 9 terminus body? Ling Xiao looked at Lu Tongtian and asked slowly. Don't worry. Although the 9 fiend body is a natural extinct body, with the exploding dendrobium and the fusion of the extreme yin and extreme yang forces, Sword 1 will become the legendary yin-yang saint body. When that time comes, his martial arts cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Lu Tongtian said. I to be a disciple to. I to take him as my. Wait. I Tongtian. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled and handed the explosive dendrobium to Lu Tongtian. Feng, don't worry. I'll bring him to you when his body is healed. Lu Tongtian smiled faintly. His eyes were full of confidence as he stretched out his hand. Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed. Lu Tongtian took out the explosive dendrobium from the 5 elements barrier. He held it in his hand, but it didn't explode. Even a Supremes wouldn't dare to hold the explosive dendrobium in their hand, without special means. Ling Xiao was indeed testing Lu Tongtian, but the results showed that this shifty-eyed old man was not simple. Lu Tongtian packed up his stall and left with Lu Jiani. Soon he stopped breathing. He told Ling Xiao to look for him after Lu Jiani's body was healed. This Lu Tongtian wasn't simple. Ling Xiao couldn't see through him, but Ling Xiao still instinctively believed him. Ling Xiao left the street and walked towards the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. What's going on? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw many martial artists gathered outside the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. The atmosphere was very lively. Taoist Wuliang, Long Outyin and the others were also there. Ling Xiao walked over quickly. Countless martial artists had excited looks on their faces. They stared at the few items in the center with shining eyes. There was a young man in his 20s sitting there. He was wearing a green robe and his black hair was scattered behind his head. His face was like jade and his temperament was extraordinary. His entire body exuded a pure and light aura. His eyes were slightly closed, but there was an invisible aura around him that made people unable to get close to him. There were 3 treasures in front of him. A green ancient sword that looked incomparably sharp and exuded a powerful fluctuation. It was actually a supreme being weapon. A pill that was yellow, black, green, and red. It was the size of a longan. It was round and simple, exuding a strange fluctuation. An ancient jade book that was filled with a bright brilliance. It seemed to be filled with mysterious supreme being Tao marks. In addition to these 3 treasures, there was also a black stone that exuded a dense demonic aura and a powerful spatial fluctuation. Beside the black stone, there was a banner with 8 words written on it. Open the black stone and choose any treasure. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He could see that the black stone was actually a supreme being's small world. It was enshrouded in demonic aura, and there was a powerful seal on it. It was very similar to the legendary ancient god seal. Was this green-robed man planning to give away one of the 3 treasures in exchange for helping him open the ancient black stone? The ancient green lotus sword, the 4 symbols supreme pill, and the primordial chaos singular chi scripture. It's really generous. Ling Xiao thought to himself. The ancient sword was called the ancient green lotus sword. It was a powerful supreme being weapon, and should be an ancient supreme being treasure. It contained an extremely rich wood attribute power, and was most suitable for wood attribute martial artists. The 4 symbols supreme pill was a top-grade supreme being pill. Not only could it allow a half-step supreme being to pass the 4 symbols tribulation, but it could also increase the chances of passing the supreme being tribulation. It was extremely precious. The primordial chaos singular chi scripture was a supreme being martial art. It was said that it was a classic left behind by a primordial chaos supreme being in ancient times. It was extremely powerful. Who was this man in green? He was willing to take out these 3 treasures just to open the supreme being's small world? Ling Xiao, you're back? I'm afraid you won't even know who he is. When Taoist Wuliang saw Ling Xiao, his eyes flashed and he smiled. He passed the 4 symbols tribulation and his strength is unfathomable. He's also wearing a green robe. Could he be the independent cultivator Emperor Qing, who is ranked 3rd on the green cloud roll? Chapter 752. Cousin, you are so powerful. He is Emperor Qing. Big brother said that he is very powerful. Big brother couldn't even take 1 blow from him. Long Outyin said with a smile. You talk too much. Long Zhantian suddenly looked embarrassed and fiercely glared at Long Aotian. Long Zhantian had met Emperor Qing before. At that time, Long Zhantian had just broken through to the Emperor realm, and wanted to test his sword against all the heroes in the world. In the end, he met Emperor Qing, who had just broken through to the Emperor realm, and was defeated in 1 blow. A few years later, Emperor Qing had passed the 4 symbols tribulation, and was even ahead of Long Zhantian. Emperor Qing? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. He could feel that Emperor Qing was very powerful. He was not much weaker than the successor of the combat god Hall. Ling Xiao, that black stone is not simple. I guess that it is at least a few 100,000 years old. It should be a small world in the body of a titled sovereign. However, there is a layer of ancient god seal outside. Many people have tried to open it but failed. Why don't you give it a try? Taoist Wuliang stared at the black stone and said slowly, Let's take a look first. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered. He could feel that there was something in the ancient stone that was very important to him. Buzz. The wordless heavenly book trembled slightly, and exuded a wave of fear and excitement. Even the black-boned dwarf in the stone box started to tremble slightly. Could it be that there is a black-boned dwarf in this small world? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The black-boned dwarf in the stone box was very mysterious. Even the wordless heavenly book couldn't do anything to it. Ling Zhao faintly felt that if the black-boned dwarf was completed, some earth-shattering changes would occur. Currently, the black-boned dwarf was missing an arm and 2 legs. Ling Zhao squinted his eyes. If the black-boned dwarf really existed in this small world, it seemed that he would have to take action. Let me give it a try. Finally, someone could not take it anymore. A burly man with bulging muscles walked out. He was more than 10 feet tall, and had 2 horns on his head. His body emitted a green light and a strong demonic aura. It's an expert from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan. This guy has already passed the Great Earth Tribulation. It's said that he has the divine strength to carry mountains and seas. Could it be that he wants to use brute force? Someone's eyes flashed as he recognized the background of this burly man. The Azure Tharch had already said that there was no limit to the means. Regardless of the means used, as long as one could break the ancient god's restriction and open the small world, one could choose any one of the 3 treasures. Even the peerless geniuses of the martial sacred lands felt their hearts burning with desire and excitement when they saw the 3 treasures. If not for Emperor Qing's identity, some people might have already tried to snatch it. The Azure Emperor had even slaughtered a few primes. If these fellows dared to make a move, they would be like an old man eating arsenic. They must be tired of living. Therefore, no matter how greedy they were, they could only follow the Azure Thearch's instructions. Rumble. The burly man from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan was glowing from head to toe. Strands of cyan divine light shone from his body, and the muscles all over his body swelled up. His eyes were blood red, and his entire body was overflowing with blood. An incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation was being emitted from his body. He roared angrily as he stomped his feet on the ground. Suddenly, he threw a punch at the black stone. The terrifying fist radiance caused the void to tremble. It seemed like even a divine mountain would be shattered by his punch. Demon Ox Fist. This is the Bronze Demonic Ox clan's most powerful divine skill. It is said that when cultivated to the extreme, one can transform into an ancient demon ox king. It is extremely terrifying. Someone exclaimed as a look of anticipation appeared in his eyes. Rumble. However, when the punch landed on the black stone, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. A layer of black runes spread out from the black stone. It did not even tremble. The power of the punch instantly disappeared without a trace. How is this possible? The expert from the Bronze Demonic Ox clan was in disbelief. It was as if he had gone mad. He threw out dozens of punches consecutively, but he still could not do anything to the black stone. Let me do it. A young man in a purple robe walked out. His entire body was shrouded in divine light. He looked valiant and extraordinary. His entire body exuded a majestic and mysterious aura. Heavenly Divine Body. The Jiang clan's heavenly divine body, Jiang Tianfeng? Someone's eyes flashed as he recognized this young man. He was the famous heavenly divine body of the Jiang clan. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as well. He had seen Jiang Tianfeng before in Heavenly God City. Now it seemed that Jiang Tianfeng had already passed the 3 divine tribulations. His strength was even more unfathomable. The legendary heavenly divine body has the power to seal the heavens and the earth. Perhaps his heavenly divine body can break this ancient divine seal. Someone's eyes flashed with anticipation. The Azure Emperor's eyes were still closed. He did not even open them. A sharp glint flashed in Jiang Tianfeng's eyes as he struck out with his palm. Rumble. As if the laws of heaven and earth had been triggered, rays of dazzling light shot out from Jiang Tianfeng's palm. They were like divine chains of order. In an instant, they spread to the black stone. They contained a mysterious power that wanted to break the rune seal on the stone. Buzz. The rune restriction trembled slightly, but it only trembled a little. Although Jiang Tianfeng's palm strike was powerful, It could not break the ancient divine seal. He gave it a try but gave up. Let me do it. An old man with a red face and a body covered in flames walked up. He cultivated the true samadhi fire and wanted to break the ancient divine seal with fire. However, he failed in the end. Following that, many other martial arts experts tried to break the ancient divine seal. They attacked with fire, water, sabers, and swords. Some even took out their supreme weapons. However, they still could not break the ancient divine seal. These people are really blind. Even the Azure Emperor could not break the ancient divine seal. Do they think they are stronger than the Azure Emperor? Taoist Wuliang sneered. That's right. If a supreme weapon could break the ancient divine seal, the Azure Emperor would have used it long ago. These people are just unwilling to give up. After all, treasures can fool people. Li Jingming said slowly. Cousin, why don't you give it a try? I think only you can break the ancient divine seal. These pieces of trash are just wasting their efforts. Long Outyin grabbed Ling Zhao's arm and asked expectantly. He wants to break the ancient divine seal? Hee, what a fool's dream. Only I can break the ancient divine seal on this black stone. You pieces of trash, get out of my way. An extremely arrogant voice rang out. It was extremely ear-piercing. Everyone was furious. This voice did not hide it at all. He directly called everyone trash and offended almost everyone. A handsome young man in a golden robe rode over on a void golden-eyed beast. His face was full of arrogance, and his nostrils were about to reach the sky. Zhao Ritian. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and a strange expression appeared on his face. Chapter 753. Zhao Ritian's entire body was emitting a dazzling divine light. His entire body was like a blazing sun. His qi and blood were like the sea, extremely vigorous. His black hair was thick and lustrous. Riding on the void golden-eyed beast, he was like a heavenly emperor on patrol, instantly attracting everyone's attention. However, he was too arrogant. He had an arrogant look on his face. His nose was in the air, and his eyes were filled with pride. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Zhao Ritian's holy sun body had been completely awakened, and he had passed the 4 divine tribulations. His strength was unparalleled. And Ling Xiao felt that he was even stronger than the sky-scorching demon emperor. It seemed like this guy had another fortuitous encounter. Cousin, who is this guy? He's even more arrogant than me. Long Outyin glared at Zhao Ritian unhappily. He had never met Zhao Ritian before, so he did not know who he was. His name is Zhao Ritian. He's also from the 8 Desolates region. He's now the 10th saint of the Sun Palace. Ling Xiao asked with a strange expression. This 10th holy sun had probably surpassed the previous holy suns. He had never heard of the previous 9 holy sons of the Sun Palace being so strong. Zhao Ritian. Ha ha ha. You want to fuck the heavens? Why don't you fuck the heavens? Why don't you fuck the heavens? This name is so funny, ha ha ha. Long Outyin was stunned for a moment. Then he burst into laughter. His eyes were filled with mockery. The moon deity and phoenix lady covered their mouths and laughed. Zhao Ritian's name was indeed strange. Little brat, what are you laughing at? You're so old, and you haven't even grown your hair yet. Go home and drink milk. Let me tell you, no one here can break the ancient god seal. Only I, the saint, can break it. Zhao Ritian said proudly. He was not angry at all. Zhao Ritian, my name is Long Outyin. You think you can break the ancient god's seal? Pui. Long Outyin seemed to have started a fight with Zhao Ritian. He glared at Zhao Ritian, his face full of dissatisfaction. Long Outyin? Your name is really stupid. Ah. Little brat, do you dare to bet with me? Let's bet on whether I can break the ancient god's seal. Zhao Ritian laughed coldly. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Even the Azure Dharch couldn't break the ancient god's seal. Who do you think you are? Long Outyin naturally wouldn't admit defeat. Aotian, don't bet with him. This brat has some skill. Ling Xiao glared at him. Ha, are you scared now? If you're scared, then scram. Watch me break the ancient god's seal. Zhao Ritian sneered as he walked towards the black ancient rock. Long Outyin was provoked by Zhao Ritian. I'm not afraid. Tell me, what do you want to bet? Let's bet that I can break the ancient god's restriction and open this small world. If I win, you have to call me Grandpa 3 times. How about it? Zhao Ritian revealed a sinister smile in his eyes. He had just heard Long Outyin call Ling Xiao cousin. If Long Outyin called him Grandpa, it would be equivalent to him taking advantage of Ling Xiao. What if you lose? Long Outyin asked. How can I possibly lose? If even I can't break the ancient god's seal, even if you look for a titled supreme, he won't have the ability to do so. Zhao Ritian said arrogantly. Since it's a bet, there's bound to be a winner and a loser. If you lose, you have to call me Grandpa too. Long Outyin laughed coldly. All right, deal. Zhao Ritian and Long Outyin stared at each other and swore the heavenly Tao oath. Outyin, you're too impulsive. Zhao Ritian is not simple. If he really breaks the ancient god's seal, let's see what you're going to do. Ling Xiao glared at him. Hee, if he really breaks the ancient god's seal, I'll call him Grandpa 3 times. Anyway, it's just a verbal advantage. I'm just a kid, so I won't lose out. Long Outyin laughed cunningly. However, Long Zhantian's face immediately turned green. If Long Outyin called Zhao Ritian Grandpa, Long Zhantian, Ling Xiao, and even the Dragon King would lose face. Outyin, if you lose, I'll tell my father about what happened today. You know what will happen to you then. Long Zhantian glared at Long Outyin and said while gritting his teeth. Long Outyin's body trembled as fear appeared in his eyes. However, he still pretended to be calm and said, What are you afraid of? Do you think the old man can kill me? At most, I'll be confined. Ling Xiao also had a headache. Now it all depended on whether Zhao Ritian had the ability to do so. The black stone was the size of a millstone. It was ancient and mottled. The surface of the stone emitted a mysterious aura. Long Outyin jumped down from the void golden-eyed beast and walked towards the black stone. Second Master, are you sure you can break this ancient god's seal? If you can't, then I, Zhao Ritian, will lose face. Zhao Ritian said in his heart as he pretended to observe the black stone. Don't worry, it's just the simplest ancient god's seal. It won't be a problem for me. Unless it's the celestial 36 ancient god seal, it won't be a problem for me. Second Master said confidently. That's good. Let's begin. Long Outyin was relieved. Wang. A bright flame rose from Long Outyin's palm. It was extremely hot and instantly enveloped the black stone. Is that the Grand Sun primordial flame? Is this kid trying to use fire to attack? Even Taoist Zhang's true Samadhi fire didn't work. This Grand Sun primordial flame won't work either, right? This kid is too arrogant. Looks like he's going to lose. The surrounding crowd was gloating at Zhao Ritian's misfortune. They were extremely displeased with Zhao Ritian's arrogance. Wang. However, the Grand Sun primordial flame in Zhao Ritian's palm suddenly split into dozens of thin threads. They were like divine order chains that contained the power of the Supreme Yang Order. In an instant, they drilled into the black stone. The ancient god's seal appeared on the black stone. Ancient black runes seemed to be describing some kind of heavenly law. It was extremely mysterious and connected with each other. It was like a divine spiritual lock that locked down all forces. The dozens of divine order chains in Zhao Ritian's palm were extremely nimble. They weaved between the black runes and caused the runes to tremble, as if they were about to be unlocked. This power. It's definitely not something that Zhao Ritian can use. It must be the existence in his body. It seems like that existence is stronger than I thought. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. Zhao Ritian's forehead started to sweat. The ancient god's seal was more difficult than he had imagined. Although Second Master was the one doing it, it was exhausting Zhao Ritian's energy. Finally, when all the runes started to tremble, a crisp sound was heard. Kacha. The ancient god's seal was broken. What? The ancient god's seal was really broken? Chapter 754. Long Outyin, I've already opened the ancient god's seal. Hurry up and call me Grandpa. Zhao Ritian said proudly to Long Outyin. He did not forget to provoke Long Outyin. The ancient stone shone resplendently, overflowing with colorful lights. It emitted a dazzling divine light, just like a divine stone. A mysterious scene emerged. It can't be? So easy. Long Outyen was shocked. He quickly looked at the black stone. However, after looking at it, Long Outyen burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that he was out of breath. Ah! Zhao Ritian, are you stupid? You've only broken one layer of the ancient god's seal. What about the other layer? If you haven't broken it completely, you won't be able to open the small world. What? Zhao Ritian quickly turned his head. When he saw the scene on the black stone, he was stunned. Although the ancient god seal was broken, there was another layer of seal on the black stone. It was made up of 36 intertwining black runes. It gave off a mysterious and ancient wave. Aha! 2 layers of ancient god seal? This shouldn't be a problem for you, right? Zhao Ritian? Everyone roared with laughter. Even the Lotus Emperor, who was sitting there cross-legged, opened his eyes slowly. It was like a ray of divine light at the beginning of the world. There was a faint mist of chaos in the air. Everyone could not help but feel nervous. The Lotus Emperor's gaze fell on the black stone. He revealed a strange look. This layer of ancient god seal was even stronger than the previous one. It gave off a perfect wave. If you can open this layer of ancient god seal, the 3 treasures are yours. The Lotus Emperor looked at Zhao Ritian and said. Zhao Ritian's face turned green. This was because the second elder was roaring in his heart. Damn it! Why is it the Heavenly Star 36 ancient god seal? I really jinxed it. I didn't expect that I was right. Why would the Heavenly Star 36 ancient god seal appear in this small world? Second uncle wanted to cry but had no tears. He had already said that as long as it wasn't the Big Dipper 36 ancient gods restriction, he would be able to unlock it. But who would have thought that there would be 2 ancient god seals on this black stone? After one of them was unlocked, the other one was actually the Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god seal. At this moment, second eldest uncle even had the heart to curse. Zhao Ritian had a bad premonition. Second master, you can't even break this Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god seal? Sigh, if I was at my peak, I might be able to give it a try. But now, I'm just a remnant soul. I can't do anything about the perfect celestial spirit 36 ancient gods restriction. Second eldest uncle sighed softly, somewhat unwillingly. Second master, you can't do anything either? What should I do then? I made a bet with that little brat. Do I really have to call him grandpa? Zhao Ritian's face turned green. It was as if his parents had died. It was extremely ugly. A real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. It's not embarrassing to call a little brat grandpa. Haha. Second eldest uncle laughed and disappeared. No matter how Zhao Ritian shouted, he wouldn't come out. Clearly, second eldest uncle was ashamed that he couldn't unlock the Heavenly Spirit 36 ancient god's seal. Zhao Ritian, why don't you unlock it? If you can't, hurry up and call me grandpa. You've made a heavenly oath. Are you trying to go back on your word? Long Outyen wanted to see the world in chaos, so he shouted. Zhao Ritian fiddled with it for a while. Without second eldest uncle's help, he couldn't unlock it at all. In the end, he could only give up unwillingly. Zhao Ritian, hurry up and call me grandpa. Ha ha ha, I'm waiting. Long Outyen said excitedly. Even he was shocked just now. He thought that Zhao Ritian had really unlocked the ancient god seal. He didn't expect Zhao Ritian to be so miserable, encountering 2 ancient god seals. Long Outyen, I can give you a treasure. It doesn't matter if it's a sage medicine, a Dao instrument, or a pure yang pill. Can you cancel the bet? No matter how unwilling Zhao Ritian was, he could only put on a smile and ask. No. Even if you give me a divine instrument, I won't allow it. You're going to call me grandpa 3 times. Long Outyen rejected. Don't go too far. Zhao Ritian, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Zhao Ritian began to threaten them again. All right, Zhao Ritian, put away your tricks. I only have one question for you. As long as you tell me, you can cancel the bet. What's the origin of the remnant soul in your body? Ling Xiao suddenly sent a voice transmission to Zhao Ritian. How did you know that second eldest uncle? Zhao Ritian looked as if he had seen a ghost. However, before he could finish his sentence, he immediately stopped. Second eldest uncle? You're saying that the remnant soul in your body is your second eldest uncle? Why haven't I heard of such a powerful person in your Zhao family? Ling Xiao frowned. He finally heard some information about the remnant soul. Humph. Give up. Don't say that I don't know the origin of second eldest uncle. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Second eldest uncle has done me a great favor. I won't betray him, Zhao Ritian said with a righteous face. Hehe Zhao Ritian. Don't you know that you've been betrayed? Do you really think that the remnant soul in your body is here to help you? Maybe it wants to train you. When your cultivation has reached a certain level, it will take over your body. There's no free lunch in the world. You'll only fall into a trap, Ling Xiao said with a cold smile. Humph. Don't you dare slander second eldest uncle. Don't you dare try to drive a wedge between us. Second eldest uncle has done me a great favor. So what if he takes my body? Don't waste your time. Isn't it just calling me grandpa 3 times? I, Zhao Ritian, am a man who knows when to yield and when to stand tall. What's the big deal? Zhao Ritian sent a voice transmission to Ling Xiao righteously. Then he walked in front of Long Outyin and said, Little brat, just you wait. One day, I'll make you call me ancestor. Grandpa, grandpa, grandpa. After Zhao Ritian called him grandpa 3 times, he jumped on the void golden-eye beast and left the place in a huff. That guy agreed so easily? Long Zhantian was in disbelief. After all, he could see that Zhao Ritian was extremely powerful. He had already passed the 4 divine tribulations. As the 10th saint of the Sun Palace, he shouldn't have agreed so easily. He got off too easy. His voice was too soft. I should have let him call me grandpa so that everyone in the city could hear it, Long Outyin said with dissatisfaction. Alright, let me try. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and walked towards Heisher. Although he was very interested in the remnant soul in Long Outyin's body, Long Outyin was very tight-lipped. He only said the words, second eldest uncle, unintentionally. He didn't say anything else. Ling Xiao was ready to break the second ancient god seal. Chapter 755. That's Ling Xiao, the 10th on the Azure Sky rankings? He looks so young, but he's only a half-step paragon? Someone recognized Ling Xiao's identity. That's Ling Xiao. But if even the Lotus Emperor couldn't break it, how could someone like him, who's only 10th on the Azure Sky rankings? That's right. I'm afraid only paragons, or even titled paragons, can break the second ancient god restriction. I wonder what kind of treasure is in this pocket world. Everyone was discussing fervently, and some of them looked at Ling Xiao with a look of schadenfreude. After all, Ling Xiao was only a half-step paragon. He hadn't even passed the tribulation of Earth, and yet he was already on the Azure Sky rankings. Many of the half-step paragons around him had already passed the tribulation of 2 mammoths and 3 mammoths, so it was only natural that they would be jealous. If I can break this ancient god restriction, I don't want those 3 treasures, but I want something in this pocket world. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at the Lotus Emperor. What do you want? The Lotus Emperor also opened his eyes and looked at Ling Xiao with a strange expression. Don't worry. What I want doesn't conflict with what you want. It's just a piece of black bone, Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. You know what I want. The Lotus Emperor's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he stared at Ling Xiao. I can't be sure, but I have a guess. Let me give it a try, Ling Xiao said calmly, not giving a direct answer. He walked up to the black rock, and a bright light shot out of his palm. Whiz. It was heaven-devouring true energy, and it contained boundless power that imprinted itself on the black rock. Rumble. The ancient god restriction on the black rock began to tremble, and runes began to intertwine as it resisted the power of the heaven-devouring secret technique. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Even with the power of the King Heaven-Devourer Cauldron, he couldn't break through the ancient god restriction. He guessed that only by breaking through to the 4th level, the heaven-devouring god sea, would he have a chance. However, Ling Xiao still had the wordless heavenly tome. Whiz. The wordless heavenly book trembled slightly. Suddenly, strands of light spread out and landed in Ling Xiao's palm, merging with the heaven-devouring true qi. After adding the power of the wordless heavenly book, the runes of the heavenly spirit 36 ancient gods instantly melted like snow. Crack. The second layer of the ancient god seal was finally broken. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. Sure enough, he had made the right bet. If it weren't for the power of the wordless heavenly book, he really wouldn't have been able to break this layer of restriction. What? Did he really break it? Everyone was shocked when they saw that the ancient god's seal on the black rock had been broken. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Even the Azure Supreme Arch, Zhao Ritian, and the others could not do anything about it. Ling Xiao actually managed to break through this layer of restriction. Furthermore, the energy that gushed out from Ling Xiao's palm earlier faintly emitted a vast and terrifying aura, causing them to tremble all over. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. Ling Xiao glanced at the Lotus Emperor and smiled. All right, come with me. The Lotus Emperor looked at Ling Xiao indifferently. With a wave of his hand, he immediately kept the three treasures on the ground. His body turned into a ray of light, and instantly entered the small world within the black rock. Ling Xiao's body flashed as he followed in. Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, and the others consciously walked forward to guard the small world. They looked at the surrounding people with warning eyes. Those people left unwillingly. They knew that if there were two ancient god seals, there must be extremely powerful treasures in the small world. However, they did not have the guts to follow in. After all, the Lotus Emperor and Ling Xiao were ruthless people who had killed honorable sovereigns. Although they were greedy, they would not risk their lives. Buzz. With a flash of light, Ling Xiao and the Lotus Emperor entered a hazy chaotic void. There was actually nothing in this place. The surrounding was filled with chaotic aura. At a glance, Ling Xiao saw three items floating in the void. One of them was a black bone that looked like a baby's arm. As for the other two items, they were a green lotus flower and a drop of green blood. The green lotus was shining brightly with chaotic light. It was actually a lotus with 36 petals. As for the drop of green blood, it exuded an aura that made the heavens and earth tremble. I want the black bone. Ling Xiao looked at the Lotus Emperor and said slowly, Aren't you afraid that I will go back on my word? The Lotus Emperor's eyes revealed a strange look. You won't. This is because the descendant of Honorable Green Lotus should be a man of his word. Moreover, the black bone is of no use to you. Only the grade 36 chaotic green lotus and the drop of green lotus divine blood are the most important to you. Ling Xiao said with a smile. How did you know? The Lotus Emperor's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. A terrifying aura surrounded him. The original body of Honorable Green Lotus is very mysterious. No one has ever known about it. However, he was the most powerful person in the world hundreds of thousands of years ago. It is said that he has already ascended to the eternal divine world. However, I know that Honorable Green Lotus did not ascend to the eternal divine world. Instead, he perished together with an extraterrestrial demon. His original body should be the grade 36 chaotic green lotus, right? Ling Xiao sighed softly. His eyes revealed a trace of emotion. He had once seen the news left behind by Honorable Green Lotus on Heaven Road. In his previous life, he had once discovered the place where Honorable Green Lotus had fought in a relic. Therefore, he was very familiar with Honorable Green Lotus. The original body of the most powerful person in the world hundreds of thousands of years ago was the Supreme Divine Medicine, grade 36 chaotic green lotus. After coming to this small world, Ling Xiao finally confirmed that the aura of the Lotus Emperor was exactly the same as that of the grade 36 chaotic green lotus. Therefore, Ling Xiao speculated that the Lotus Emperor should be the descendant of Honorable Green Lotus. I am not the descendant of Honorable Green Lotus. I am the brother of Honorable Green Lotus. The Lotus Emperor sighed softly and said slowly, There are actually two grade 36 chaotic green lotuses. After the death of Sovereign Green Lotus, his body was obtained by someone else and was divided into a grade 12 Blood Lotus, a grade 12 Golden Lotus, and a grade 12 Black Lotus. This grade 36 chaotic green lotus is my body. The Azure Arch did not hide anything at all, and directly revealed such a secretive matter. Although my primordial spirit has been reincarnated into a human, my original body cannot fall into the hands of anyone else. Only after this grade 36 chaotic green lotus is merged with me can I be completely complete and break free from my shackles. The Lotus Emperor glanced at Ling Xiao and said, I do not know the origin of this black bone. However, since Honorable Green Lotus has examined it and placed it in his small world, I will give it to you. Buzz. Chapter 756. Thank you. Ling Xiao took the black bone and heaved a sigh of relief. Ling Xiao, you give me a strange feeling. If I'm not wrong, you should have the grade 12 blood lotus, right? The Lotus Emperor looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly. Ling Xiao nodded and admitted, that's right. I snatched the grade 12 blood lotus from Ming Zun of the Daming Temple. I can give you a piece of information for free. If you want the complete grade 36 Chaos Green Lotus, this Heaven's Choice Convention is a good opportunity. The grade 12 Golden Lotus is in the hands of Kasayapa. If I'm not wrong, the grade 12 Black Lotus should be in the hands of Lung Yuyu of the Nine Abyss Devil Sect. The Lotus Emperor's eyes revealed a strange look as he said calmly. Ling Xiao was stunned and asked, since this is Prime Green Lotus's original body, don't you want to take it back? Why are you still helping me? Ling Xiao needed the grade 36 Chaos Green Lotus for a great purpose. Although he was tempted by the lotus in front of him, it was the Lotus Emperor's original body. Unless he really wanted to fall out with the Lotus Emperor, he naturally couldn't get it. Ling Xiao was surprised that the Lotus Emperor didn't say anything about taking back Prime Green Lotus's original body. Soul to soul, earth to earth. Death is life, and life is death. When Prime Green Lotus's primordial spirit disappeared, only 3 treasures were left. Prime Green Lotus was no longer Prime Green Lotus. The Lotus Tharch smiled faintly and said something strange. Buzz. A light flashed in the Lotus Emperor's hand, and he instantly kept the green lotus and the drop of green blood. He turned and was about to leave. Before he left, he said to Ling Xiao, this Heaven's Choice Convention won't be simple. Be careful of the War God Temple. With that, the Lotus Emperor turned into a stream of light and left. Be careful of the War God Temple? It seems like the Lotus Emperor knows a lot of information. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he turned and left. Cousin, what's in this small world? Is there some supreme treasure? Quickly take it out for me to see. Long Outyin said excitedly. Little money grubber, there's nothing. The Lotus Emperor took all the good things. If you don't believe me, you can go in and see for yourself. Ling Xiao glared at him in exasperation. The Azure Emperor did not take this small world with him. Instead, Ling Xiao placed it in the Heavenly Divine Stone. The spatial energy in the Heavenly Divine Stone would allow the small world in the Heavenly Divine Stone to grow and complete quickly. Ling Xiao, Taoist Wuliang, and the others returned to the Heaven's Pride Pavilion and booked an exquisite little courtyard to stay in. As the Heaven's Choice Convention approached, more and more people came to Heaven's Choice City. However, Ling Xiao didn't go out. Instead, he stayed in the room and focused on comprehending the Great Fate art. Although he hadn't gained much, Ling Xiao still felt that the Heaven's Fate divination technique was very important to this year's Chosen One. 20 days later, Lu Tongtian brought Lu Jianyi to Heaven's Pride House. Brat brother, I'll hand my grandson over to you. From now on, you'll be his master. Jianyi, hurry up and acknowledge me as your master. Lu Tongtian smiled at Ling Xiao. At this moment, Lu Jianyi still didn't seem to have any cultivation base. However, Ling Xiao could feel that Lu Jianyi's body seemed to be filled with yin and yang qi. All the meridians in his body were connected. The 9 yin fiend demon body had completely disappeared. It had become the legendary yin-yang sacred body. This kind of peerless body was like Zhao Ritian's sacred body of the sun and Yueshan's sacred body of the great moon. It was even stronger. It was an extreme Dao body. His future achievements were limitless. After hearing Lu Jianyi's name, Taoist Wuliang's eyes revealed a trace of emotion. He finally knew why Ling Xiao wanted to take in a disciple. Disciple Lu Jianyi pays his respects to master. Lu Jianyi knelt down respectfully towards Ling Xiao, kowtowing 3 times and kowtowing 9 times, his face full of gratitude. He also knew that it was Ling Xiao's explosive dendrobium that dissolved his 9 yin fiend demon body. After Lu Jianyi finished his greetings and served tea to Ling Xiao helped Lu Jianyi up and said, Jianyi, from now on, you are my 4th disciple. There are 3 senior brothers above you and 3 junior brothers below you. You must cultivate diligently in the future. Don't slack off. Do you understand? I will remember. Although Lu Jiani was a little confused, he still said seriously. Other than Taoist Wuliang, everyone else revealed a trace of confusion. They didn't know when Ling Xiao had taken in so many disciples, and even fixed their titles. Only Taoist Wuliang knew Ling Xiao's intention. Ling Xiao thought that the 7 disciples were still alive. Ha ha ha. Little Jiani, I'm your martial uncle Long Aotian. Call me martial uncle. Long Aotian ran to Lu Jiani's side and laughed. Lu Jiani looked about the same age as Long Aotian. They were both 8 or 9 years old. They looked like they were carved from jade and were very cute. However, Lu Jiani was really only 9 years old. Long Aotian, on the other hand, was stuck in his current state because of his bloodline. Jiani greets martial uncle. Lu Jiani looked at Long Aotian and said seriously, "Why did you add the word little?" Long Aotian was a little depressed. Ha ha ha, Aotian, because you are the youngest. Look at you now. You are not even as mature as Jiani. People who don't know would think that Jiani is your elder brother. Long Zhantian laughed and said. Everyone laughed. Lu Jiani was obedient and sensible. He instantly gained everyone's favor. Martial uncle it is then. Jiani, follow me from now on. If anyone dares to bully you, martial uncle will help you beat them up. Long Aotian hugged Lu Jiani's neck and said righteously. Jiani, come here. This is the secret art of our Changsan sect. You have to cultivate well and comprehend it. Do you understand? Ling Xiao called Lu Jiani over and pointed with his finger. Instantly, a torrent of information merged into Lu Jiani's sea of consciousness. Ling Xiao taught him the eternal supreme scripture. Lu Jiani's peerless talent was the same as Dugu Longqing's. They were both in the sword Dao. Therefore, Ling Xiao hoped that in this life, he could use the eternal supreme scripture to build a good foundation and comprehend the eternal sword Qi. In the future, when he obtained the sword demon supreme scripture and sword god technique, he would be able to merge the 3 sword arts into one and shine brightly. Thank you, master. Lu Jiani said respectfully. Rumble. At that moment, an earth-shattering sound rang out. The sky shook and the earth trembled. An aura that caused everyone's heart to palpitate spread out. In the distant sky, an ancient divine mountain seemed to have appeared. On top of the divine mountain, there was a huge cave that spewed out red light. It seemed to lead to the divine world. It emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. Is that the cave of time? The cave of time is open. Someone exclaimed. This news instantly spread throughout the entire Heaven Choice city. Everyone was in an uproar. Chapter 757. Swoosh. 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 Figures with powerful auras instantly soared into the sky and shot towards the primordial divine mountain in the distance. Their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. Countless experts, young geniuses, and old monsters who were nearing the end of their lifespans all rushed towards the time cave. The time cave has opened? It's time for us to move. Taoist Wuliang looked at the primordial divine mountain in the distant void with a strange look in his eyes. Ah, the chosen one is about to begin. This time, I will also leave my name in the time cave. Long Aotian said with incomparable excitement. At this moment, Long Zhantian's ears twitched. He looked at Long Aotian strangely and said, Father is outside the city. He wants us to rush out of the city to meet him. Long Aotian's body trembled, and he became a little listless. Elder Lu, do you want to go to the time cave to take a look too? Ling Xiao looked at Lu Tongtian and asked. The time cave? Forget about it. My old bones can't take the torment. I'm relieved to hand Jian over to you. However, you must remember to be careful of the War God Temple. Lu Tongtian gave Ling Xiao a deep look, then turned and left in a carefree manner. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Previously, the Time General had told him to be careful of the War God Temple. Emperor Qing and Lu Tongtian had also told him to be careful of the War God Temple. Although he had long known that the War God Temple was not simple, could it be that there would be some changes in this chosen one? However, at this point Ling Xiao could not retreat. No matter what danger there was, It was nothing more than blocking soldiers with arms and water with an earthweir. Jianyi, cultivate well in the celestial stone. If there's anything, send me a message. Ling Xiao arranged for Lu Jian to stay in the celestial stone, and left him a lot of spiritual stones, spiritual crystals, and pure yang pills. With Lu Jian's 100 open meridians and the peerless aptitude of the yin-yang sacred body, his cultivation speed would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Cousin, can you put me in the celestial stone too? If the old man finds out that I snuck out, he will definitely not let me have a good time. Long Outyin looked pitifully at Ling Xiao. You know how to be afraid now? It's too late. This time it will depend on your luck. If uncle doesn't allow you to enter the time cave, I can't do anything about it. After saying that, Ling Xiao grabbed Long Outyin and flew out of Heaven's Choice City with everyone else. Outside the Heaven's Choice City was a vast and mysterious mountain range. It looked like a giant dragon that was tens of thousands of miles long was lying dormant on the earth. The primordial divine mountain in the void and the mysterious cave that was spewing out scarlet light were right above the mountain range. Rumble. In the sky, the wind and clouds changed color. The enormous immemorial divine mountain was connected to the heaven and earth. It was emitting a boundless and ancient aura. If not for the fact that many people knew that the divine mountain was a projection of the time cave, they would have thought that the immemorial divine mountain had truly descended. At the top of the divine mountain, the huge cave gushed with bright light, turning into millions of bright flowers that covered the entire sky. The bright flowers were filled with the chaotic power of time. They were extremely mysterious. Even a supreme being would lose 10,000 years of his life in an instant, and turn into a pile of bones if he came into contact with them. Hence, many people had already arrived at the mountain range. When they saw the huge cave in the void, their faces were filled with excitement. However, they did not dare to act rashly. When the bright flowers disappeared and the chaotic power of time dissipated, the time cave would be truly opened. Everyone was waiting. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Many figures with powerful auras flew across the sky. They were all supreme geniuses and their eyes were filled with confidence. Is that the sky-burning demon emperor and the Ziwei star? I heard that the sky-burning demon emperor was knocked down from the green cloud ranking. Are they going to seek revenge with the Ziwei star? Someone saw the sky-burning demon emperor, who had red hair flying in the wind and was wearing a red armor, and Ziwei Xingzi, who was wearing a purple robe and shrouded in divine light, like a celestial emperor on an inspection tour, flying across the sky. They occupied a mountain peak, and brought along many genius disciples from the Sky Demon Palace and the Star Palace. Very quickly, Lung Yuyu, who was wearing a black robe and a veil, brought along the disciples from the Abyss Demon Sect and occupied a mountain peak. However, as Lung Yuyu did not reveal her identity, no one saw her face. Hence, no one knew that she was Lung Yuyu. However, when many people saw the disciples from the Abyss Demon Sect, they guessed that she was most likely Lung Yuyu, who was ranked 8th on the Green Cloud ranking. Very quickly, Dugu Shui and Jian Wushuang brought along the disciples from the Dugu family and the Sword God Pavilion. However, what surprised everyone was that Dugu Shui and Jian Wushuang had previously entered the arena of life and death. Why did they come together like good friends? Moreover, the disciples from the Dugu family and the Sword God Pavilion seemed to be getting along well. That's Wang Xiaolong, who is ranked 9th on the Green Cloud ranking and the eldest disciple of the Mad Blade Pavilion. I heard that he is the grandson of the Mad Blade Supreme from 10,000 years ago. He has inherited the legacy of the Mad Blade Supreme. Furthermore, he has the Kungwu Blade Supreme in his hand. He is also a popular candidate. However, why does this fellow look so wretched? Who is that fellow beside him? Two mountains of flesh gathered together. Haha. I'm dying of laughter. The earth rumbled in the distance. Two fat men who looked like balls walked over together. One was wearing a black robe, while the other was wearing a white robe. Both of them were smiling, and their eyes were almost narrowed into slits. The fat man in the black robe was the eldest disciple of the Mad Blade Pavilion, Wang Xiaolong. He was carried on a bamboo chair by a few disciples of the Mad Blade Pavilion as he walked over proudly. As for the fat man in the white robe, he was also sitting on a bamboo chair. However, he was still holding a roasted lamb leg in his hand. He was eating it happily. If Ling Xiao was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that the fat man in the white robe was Zhu Biao, who he had seen in the Heaven's Pride Pavilion. Zhu Biao had an invincible defense, and even Daoist Wuliang had suffered a loss in his hands. However, he did not expect Wang Xiaolong to walk together with Zhu Biao. The two fat men looked very comical, and people could not help but laugh. Buzz. At this moment, Buddhist chants filled the void. A strange divine rainbow crossed the sky. In the distance, a young monk wearing a moon-white monk robe and straw sandals appeared. His palms were placed together, and he looked like a crown of jade. His entire body emitted a tranquil aura. Behind him, there were more than 10 young monks. They were all chanting scriptures at the same time, and golden lotuses surrounded their bodies. That is, Buddha Kasayapa. Someone's body trembled, and he could not help but exclaim. Buddha Kasayapa was the successor of the Great Lane Temple. He cultivated the Vairocana Sutra, wielded the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda, and had killed 3 supremes. However, some people said that Buddha Kasayapa's cultivation was not weaker than the successor of the War God Temple. It was just that he kept a low profile. Moreover, the Azure Sky ranking was arranged by the War God Temple. Naturally, the successor of the War God Temple was ranked first. Chapter 758. What's so great about that? Those bald donkeys from the Great Thunderclap Temple love to play tricks. A group of Wise King Temple monks dressed in red monk robes were indignant when they saw the commotion caused by Arhat Kasayapa. Arhat Kasayapa is too sanctimonious. I heard that he has a crush on our bright concubine, but she rejected him several times. In the middle of all the monks of Mingwang Temple, there were pearls and tassels. Golden clouds filled the air. Under a curtain, there was an extremely beautiful woman. She was wearing an extremely luxurious monk robe. Her eyes were filled with endless charm. She glanced at Maha Kasayapa in the distance with a strange look on her face. She was the bright concubine of the Wise King Temple. There were many bright venerables in the Wise King Temple, but there was only one bright concubine, because she was the most outstanding disciple of the Wise King Temple. The successor of the War God Temple is here. Is the person beside him Morong Xiantian of the Black Heaven sect? I didn't expect Morong Xiantian to be so close to the War God Temple. Some people looked away from Arhat Kasayapa in shock. Rumble. In the distance, the sky shook. The successor of the War God Temple was enveloped in dazzling divine light. He wore a purple gold armor, and his body was slender and handsome. His entire body exuded a divine aura. He looked flawless and extraordinarily handsome. His skin was as clear as jade, and his eyes were dazzling. He was like a young divine king who would be the center of attention wherever he went. Beside him was a young man dressed in white. He held a white jade ruler and looked elegant, and had an extraordinary aura. The young man in white was the most outstanding disciple of the Black Heaven sect, Morong Xiantian, who was ranked 7th on the Azure Cloud ranking. He was chatting happily with the successor of the War God Hall, attracting the gazes of countless young women. Many of the women's hearts were stirred, and their eyes were filled with luster. When Ling Xiao and Taoist Wuliang arrived, they attracted many people's attention. After all, Ling Xiao was the only one who could defeat the sky-burning demon emperor and enter the Azure Cloud ranking. This was especially true for the Phoenix Maiden and the Moon Goddess beside Ling Xiao. They were the goddesses of the Mountain of Flames and the Moon Palace. Their auras were extraordinary, and they were extremely beautiful. Many people were envious and jealous of them. Ling Xiao, that bastard. I'll kill him in the chosen convention. The sky-burning demon emperor looked at Ling Xiao, and his eyes were about to spit fire. Brother Fen Tian, you don't have to worry. I heard that Ling Xiao even offended the successor of the War God Shrine. He has offended quite a number of people. My Star Palace, Nantian aristocratic family, Emperor Tomb Mountain, Sky Demon Palace. Which one of them doesn't want his life? I heard that this time, the various Holy Lands have sent out many old monsters who are nearing the end of their lifespans. No matter what, they must take Ling Xiao's life. The Ziwei Star's eyes glinted as he spoke faintly. Humph, this brat deserves to die. The sky-burning demon emperor snorted coldly. Ling Xiao naturally noticed the sky-burning demon emperor's angry gaze, but he ignored him. This was because the Dragon King, Long Lai, was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak in the distance. His body was emitting a mysterious aura, as if no one had noticed him. Ling Xiao could faintly sense that there were many sovereign experts around the mountain range. However, they were all hiding their tracks and did not show themselves. After all, many genius disciples had come for the chosen convention. In order to prevent the other sects from killing their own geniuses, they naturally had to send sovereign experts to protect them. The moon goddess returned to the disciples of the lunar palace, while Ling Xiao and the others walked towards Long Lai. Outyin, you're too much. How dare you sneak out again? Long Lai glared at Long Outyin. Long Outyin immediately shrunk his neck and stood there obediently in fear. Although this kid usually called him an old man, when he was in front of Long Lai, he was definitely an obedient child. Father, let me enter the time cave. Don't worry, I'll listen to my elder brother and cousin. I won't run around. Long Outyin immediately pleaded. It's not impossible for you to enter the time cave. Long Lai did not object. He pondered for a moment and said slowly, Really? Thank you, father. Thank you. Long Outyin's eyes revealed a trace of surprise as he quickly said. Ling Xiao and Long Zhantian were also a little surprised. Long Lai had previously forbidden Long Outyin from entering the time cave. They did not expect that he would agree to let Long Outyin enter the time cave. There are some things that we have to face in the end. Long Lai sighed and his eyes revealed a trace of emotion. Buzz. A light flashed in Long Lai's hand, and an ancient map appeared. Ling Xiao, this is a map. There is an inheritance left behind by the ancestors of the dragon tribe. Only Outyin's bloodline has the qualifications to obtain the inheritance. Previously, I was afraid that Outyin would be in danger. However, now that Outyin has sneaked out, it seems like it's fate. Long Lai said slowly. The inheritance left behind by the ancestors of the dragon tribe? Father, what kind of inheritance is it? Is it a supreme martial technique or a peerless divine weapon? Long Outyin's eyes suddenly lit up, and he quickly asked with incomparable excitement. I'm not very sure. You'll know when the time comes. Long Lai's eyes were somewhat gloomy and he did not directly answer. Oh. Long Outyin nodded. Long Lai handed the map to Ling Xiao and asked him to find a way to help Long Outyin obtain the inheritance in the time cave. Ling Xiao agreed. He guessed that the inheritance was definitely not a small matter. Moreover, looking at Long Lai's expression, there should be some hidden secrets. The top 10 geniuses of the Green Cloud Roll, except for the 3rd-ranked Emperor Qing and the 5th-ranked Duan Wuji, had all arrived. Moreover, there were many hidden ancient clans and genius experts of large sections. There were even some powerful geniuses that had never appeared before. In this mountain range, there was an incomparably powerful aura that intertwined and exuded an incomparably powerful aura. They were all waiting for the time cave to open. For example, Zhu Biao and the mysterious Qing Yun that Ling Xiao had seen in the Heaven's Pride Pavilion had already arrived. Rumble. At that moment, the heavens and earth shook violently. Purple lightning filled the void and accompanied by streaks of green sword radiance, as if it had cut open the chaos. It was incomparably terrifying. Emperor Qing, don't go too far. An icy cold voice rang out, and it contained suppressed anger. Boom. A young man wearing a purple robe and holding a purple gold divine spear flew through the sky. Blazing lightning surrounded his body, and he looked dignified and mysterious, like a god of thunder. He and another figure collided head-on. Instantly, the two of them flew backwards at the same time. Lightning blazed in the void and streaks of sharp sword radiance filled the air. The other figure appeared. It was the handsome and mysterious Emperor Qing in a green robe. Emperor Qing is fighting with Duan Wuji. What's going on? Suddenly, everyone's eyes flashed and they revealed a trace of shock. The young man wearing a purple robe and holding a purple gold divine spear was the descendant of Kunlun Mountain, the 5th-ranked Duan Wuji on the Green Cloud Roll. Chapter 759. Boom. Emperor Qing's fingers were like swords. His eyes were extremely sharp. A sword light filled with chaotic colors shot through the air, heading straight for Duan Wuji's forehead. Clang! Duan Wuji jumped into the air like a monkey. The purple gold divine spear in his hand swept out in all directions. Dazzling lights exploded, but they were all destroyed by the primal chaos sword chi. In the end, the primal chaos sword chi collided with the spear, creating a metallic sound and sparks flying everywhere. Duan Wuji's arm went numb, and the purple gold divine spear almost flew out of his hand. He stared coldly at Emperor Qing and said, "Emperor Qing, are you crazy? That girl has nothing to do with you. Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" The azure arch flew across the sky, stepping on the chaos. Around him were green lotuses. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he said, "Everyone in the world cares about the world. You actually killed an innocent girl and extracted her primordial spirit for the sake of martial arts cultivation. Today you must pay the price." Emperor Qing struck out with his palm. Chaotic chi filled the air, and a green lotus bloomed behind him. Green sword chi condensed and rose into the air, forming a green lotus sword array that fell towards Duan Wuji. "Emperor Qing, don't slander me. That girl was a disciple of Kunlun Mountain. She betrayed her sect, so I'm just cleaning her up. Purple heaven, godly thunder, kill." A cold light flashed in Duan Wuji's eyes. He shouted loudly, and the violet gold divine spear in his hand pierced through the void. A terrifying light erupted, and the worldly dharma was activated. Suddenly, the void shook, and purple lightning fell from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The green lotus sword array and the purple heaven thunder collided, and a shocking divine light swept out in all directions. Cracks appeared in the air, as if it couldn't withstand this terrifying power. According to Emperor Qing's words, Duan Wuji is actually killing innocent people for the sake of cultivation? How is he different from an evil demon? Someone's eyes flashed, and he said with some surprise, "Chill, quiet. Is Duan Wuji someone you can talk about? He is a peerless genius ranked 5th on the honor roll of Green Cloud. The strength of Kunlun Mountain is unfathomable. If you offend them, it will be hard for you to die even if you want to." Someone quickly warned, "Emperor Qing is just a rogue cultivator. I didn't expect him to hate evil so much. He doesn't look like a heaven's chosen warrior who kills decisively. Instead, he looks like a Jianghu swordsman from the secular world. How naive." Yes. Not to mention that Duan Wuji killed an innocent girl. Even if he killed 10 or 100 people, with his identity as the first disciple of Kunlun Mountain, who would dare to stop him? Emperor Qing is still too young. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Some people were not optimistic about this battle. After all, a supreme being expert had come from the faraway Kunlun Mountain. He seemed to be the vice leader of Kunlun Mountain, and his cultivation was unfathomable. These people are really cold-blooded. The Azure Supreme Dharch saw injustice on the road, and these people actually thought that the Azure Supreme Dharch was meddling in other people's business? If one day their children and relatives were killed, would they still have this attitude? The Phoenix Maiden sneered. Exactly. That Duan Wuji looks like a show-off, comparable to that Zhao Ritian. But one look and you can tell that he's a hypocrite. He keeps saying that he's cleaning up the sect. Bah. A belly full of thieves and prostitutes. I don't think Kunlun Mountain is anything good. Long Outyin said in a displeased tone. Purple Heavenly Thunder? Kunlun Mountain's Purple Heavenly Sutra seems to have opened up a new path. It is indeed extraordinary. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he looked at the Purple Heavenly Thunder that Duan Wuji used. The Purple Heavenly Thunder looked very extraordinary. It was like a heavenly tribulation, containing the power of law. It was different from the Purple Heavenly Thunder that Ling Xiao had obtained. Ling Xiao was somewhat interested in the Purple Heavenly Sutra of Kunlun Mountain. In Ling Zhao's eyes, Duan Wuji's strength was indeed very strong, but he should not be Emperor Qing's opponent. The top 3 of the honor roll, the successor of the War God Temple, Buddhist Kasayapa, and Emperor Qing. These 3 people were unfathomable. Ling Xiao felt that if he faced them now, he would not be confident. As for the others, even De Shui, who was 4th on the honor roll, Ling Xiao was confident that he could defeat him. Kill. The purple gold divine spear in Duan Wuji's hand was Kunlun Mountain's famous supreme weapon, the draining spring divine spear. It was said that it had been bathed in the blood of the gods, and the divine spear had a spirit. When Duan Wuji was born, it had recognized him as its master. At this moment, Duan Wuji and the draining spring divine spear were one. Their bodies were covered in purple heavenly thunder, as they fought fiercely with Emperor Qing. Emperor Qing was still confident and at ease. He fought empty-handed. Chaotic qi surrounded him, and he was enveloped in a green glow. He was like an immortal, aloof and otherworldly. Emperor Qing and Duan Wuji were both extremely fast. They crisscrossed in the void, leaving behind afterimages. Bang! Emperor Qing's fist broke through the layers of purple heavenly thunder and landed on the draining spring divine spear. It was like a muffled explosion of thunder. It looked like a light punch, but it seemed to contain a great amount of power. It shook Duan Wuji's arm, and the draining spring divine spear almost flew out of his hand. Buzz! The draining spring divine spear trembled in the void. Ripples spread out and pushed Emperor Qing away. At the same time, the tip of the spear flashed with a dazzling light. It pierced through the void and pierced towards Emperor Qing's forehead. Emperor Qing's expression did not change. He stretched out two jade-like fingers and caught the draining spring divine spear. Chaotic qi filled the air. Emperor Qing's fist landed on the draining spring divine spear. Whoosh! The draining spring divine spear was like a beautiful ray of light. It flew into the distance and destroyed a mountain in the distance. Emperor Qing pointed at Duan Wuji's forehead. His finger was crystal clear, slender, and perfect. It looked like a woman's finger, but it contained a sharp light that could pierce through everything. Duan Wuji's expression changed drastically. He felt an intense sense of danger. He quickly retreated, and at the same time he threw out a palm to neutralize that finger. Puff! There was a flash of blood. The heavenly thunder of purple cloud in Duan Wuji's palm exploded. Emperor Qing's finger stabbed into Duan Wuji's palm. Blood splattered everywhere. The blazing sword light intertwined as if it wanted to crush Duan Wuji's palm. Duan Wuji groaned and flew back. At the same time, the draining spring divine spear returned to his hand. Duan Wuji was injured. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it. Although Emperor Qing was ranked 3rd and Duan Wuji was ranked 5th, the top 10 geniuses of the Green Cloud ranking were all top geniuses of the world. They were all half-step supremes of the 4 divine tribulations. The difference between them should be very small. No one had thought that Duan Wuji would suffer at the hands of Emperor Qing so quickly. Whoosh! Just as Duan Wuji was flying through the air, and a palm blade was about to strike him, the supremes of Kunlun Mountain moved. Rumble! Chapter 760. Emperor Qing, do you really think that there is no one in Kunlun Mountain? An indifferent voice exploded in the void, causing everyone's ears to ring and their eyes to tremble. 9th level Supreme Realm? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he recognized that the Supreme Being of Kunlun Mountain was already at the peak of the Supreme Realm. You beat up the young one and the old one intervened? Kunlun Mountain is really shameless. Emperor Qing said indifferently as a sharp light shot out from his eyes. He didn't dodge and faced the Supreme Being of Kunlun Mountain with a palm strike. Boom! It was as if a divine sun had exploded as a bright light spread out. Emperor Qing's body shook violently as he was sent flying. The light dispersed, revealing an old man with white hair and beard. He wore a white robe. His face was dignified, and his eyes flickered. His entire body emitted an aura that caused the world to tremble. He was the vice-sect master of Kunlun Mountain, Outer Space. What shocked everyone was that the vice-sect master Outer Space was an expert at the peak of the Supreme Realm. Emperor Qing only suffered a small loss from his palm strike, and was able to retreat unscathed. He was just a half-step Supreme Realm with the tribulation of 4 symbols, but he had such terrifying combat strength. Who was Emperor Qing? Many people were interested in this. Even the descendant of the War God Temple and Buddha Kasayapa's eyes flashed as they looked at Emperor Qing. Especially the descendant of the War God Temple, he didn't hide the strong battle intent in his eyes. Young man, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have some strength. If you don't enter the Supreme Realm, you will always be an ant. You are just a big ant now. Outer space looked at Emperor Qing coldly and said, if I don't enter the Supreme Realm, I will always be an ant? I don't see how strong a Supreme Realm is. I don't even know how many Supreme Realm experts have died in my hands. Do you want to try? Emperor Qing's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Young man, you don't know how to restrain yourself. Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. Outer space said coldly with a trace of cold killing intent in his eyes. Duan Wuji was the most outstanding disciple of Kunlun Mountain, but he was defeated by Emperor Qing so quickly. This showed how terrifying Emperor Qing was. If Duan Wuji had met Emperor Qing in the time cave, he might have died at Emperor Qing's hands. Therefore, the Space Emperor was willing to put aside his pride and attack Emperor Qing. He wanted to get rid of such a big threat for Duan Wuji. Rumble. A terrifying aura emanated from the body of the Heavenly King. The power of a peak supreme being erupted, causing the surrounding area to tremble. It was as if there were thunderbolts lingering in the air. The Azure Emperor's eyes flashed with sharpness. The powerful qi around him intertwined, and streams of chaotic qi filled the air. It was as if he was preparing for a shocking attack. Moreover, Ling Xiao felt that the current Emperor Qing was even more powerful than the Emperor Qing he had met in Heaven Choice City. He was even more unfathomable. It was probably because the Azure Dharch had refined the original body of the rank 36 chaotic green lotus, and the drop of green lotus divine blood. He looked perfect and flawless, as if he could become a paragon at any time. An oppressive aura spread out. It was as if an earth-shattering battle was about to break out between the Azure Dharch and outer space. Well, at that moment, a faint light permeated the air above. The mysterious hole spewed out multicolored light, appearing dazzling. A figure shrouded in white light slowly emerged. No one could see his face clearly. He exuded a mysterious fluctuation of the cycle of time. It was as if he was a god that controlled time. The moment he appeared in the air, everyone was shocked. They couldn't help but raise their heads. The Divine General of Time? Ling Xiao was shocked. He didn't expect to meet the Divine General of Time here. Everyone, welcome to the Cave of Time. The Divine General of Time's voice was faint. It was as if he didn't exist in this time and space. There was an ethereal and mysterious fluctuation in his voice. The once-in-a-thousand-years Heaven's Choice Convention is about to begin. I am the host of this convention. You can call me the Divine General of Time. Everyone in the mountain range, except for the successor of the War God Hall, was shocked and expectant. Especially Long Lai, whose eyes were filled with sharpness. He said slowly, this Divine General of Time is not simple. He actually comprehended a trace of the essence of the flow of time. Perhaps he already has the combat strength of a titled Supreme Being. The combat strength of a titled Supreme Being? Perhaps. Ling Xiao nodded. Shurasek's Grand Elder Luofeng was already a 9th-level Supreme Being, but he was still killed by the Divine General of Time in an instant. If he didn't have the combat strength of a titled Supreme Being, he wouldn't have been able to do so. However, the Divine General of Time gave Ling Xiao a strange feeling. He looked like an extremely ordinary Supreme Being, but from the way he killed Divine General Wu Chang and Grand Elder Luofeng, he was definitely a peerless, ruthless person. Just like the previous Heaven's Choice Convention, the Cave of Time is an ancient small world. The location of the Heaven's Choice Convention is in the depths of the Cave of Time, the Shrine of Time. A year later, the Shrine of Time will open and the Heaven's Choice Convention will officially begin. So I hope everyone can reach the Shrine of Time in a year. Those who don't reach the Shrine of Time or lose their lives will lose the qualifications to participate in the Heaven's Choice Convention. The Divine General of Time said slowly. Light scattered from his hand and instantly, streams of light fell between everyone's eyebrows. He clearly explained the rules and the situation of the Heaven's Choice Convention. In fact, there weren't any changes to the content. The Heaven's Choice Convention was held once every 1,000 years. Every time, it would be held in the Cave of Time. Therefore, many Supreme Beings of martial Holy Lands had already told the disciples of their sects about the Heaven's Choice Convention. However, the Cave of Time was filled with dangers. Wanting to reach the Shrine of Time in a year's time wasn't an easy task. All kinds of accidents could happen. Moreover, everyone who entered the Cave of Time was randomly teleported. Perhaps some people were lucky and were close to the Shrine of Time, but some people were unlucky and were directly teleported into those dangerous places. In the Cave of Time, not only were there powerful ancient vicious beasts and extraterrestrial demons, but it was also said that ancient races lived in the Cave of Time. They were very repulsed by these outsiders. The Cave of Time could be said to be a complete world. It was incomparably vast. Many people guessed that the Cave of Time might not be smaller than the War God continent. It was just that many people hadn't explored it completely. However, there were many inheritances of ancient powerhouses in the Cave of Time. Not only were there inheritances of supreme beings and titled supreme beings, there were even inheritances of gods. Therefore, the most important reason that attracted countless geniuses of the War God continent to participate in the Heaven's Choice Convention was the inheritances and good fortune in the Cave of Time. Chapter 761. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered. He hadn't expected that the Divine General of Time would be presiding over the Heavenly Choice meeting. Perhaps some of his doubts would be verified by the Divine General of Time during the meeting. Rumble. The primordial divine mountain in the sky began to tremble. The mysterious cave gushed with multicolored light as countless time petals bloomed and emitted an extremely dazzling light. That chaotic energy slowly calmed down, and the Time Moon Cave finally opened. The Time Cave has opened. Let's go. The eyes of many geniuses instantly turned red as they soared into the sky and charged towards the Time Cave. According to legend, the flow of time within the Time Cave was different from the flow of time in the outside world. There were all sorts of miraculous things about it. Many old freaks who were nearing the end of their lifespans also intended to enter the Time Cave to see if they could find any heaven-defying treasures to increase their lifespans. There were actually hundreds of thousands of geniuses at the foot of the mountain range. All of them were at the noble realm and monarch realm. All of them were waiting for this moment. Swoosh. Swoosh. Let's go. A trace of anticipation appeared in Taoist Wuliang's eyes. Alright, all of you enter my Sky God Stone. The Sky God Stone is a divine artifact. It should be able to resist the power of the Time Cave's formation. That way, we won't have to be separated once we enter the Time Cave. Ling Xiao said slowly. The Time Cave was filled with danger. Moreover, the way to enter the Time Cave was to be randomly teleported. The Time Cave was such a huge world that it would be extremely difficult to reunite once they were teleported to the ends of the world. Many geniuses from the Martial Dao Holy Lands activated their spatial treasures and sent their disciples into them. After that, they flew onto the time petals and entered the Time Cave. Taoist Wuliang, Yuanwan Yueshin, Phoenix Maiden, Long Zhantian, Long Outyin, Li Jingming, and Lin Hui were all sent into the Sky God Stone. Wang. Ling Xiao soared up into the sky. Suddenly, a time flower petal slowly bloomed. The sparkling and translucent petals wrapped around Ling Xiao. Resplendent light filled the air. It was like the qi of ascension, pure and ethereal, extremely mysterious. Ling Xiao could sense that the surrounding light was flashing. Mysterious law threads interweaved and instantly wrapped around him, sending him into the Time Cave. Hundreds of thousands of martial artists soared into the sky at the same time. They were enveloped by the time flower petals and entered the Time Cave. This scene was incomparably spectacular. In the surroundings of the Time Cave, a terrifying aura pervaded the air as numerous powerful figures appeared. These were all Supreme Being experts from the various martial Dao Holy Lands. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. They wondered how many Supreme Being geniuses would emerge in this Heaven's Choice convention. The Heaven's Choice meeting would last for a long time, so they weren't in a hurry. They just surrounded the Time Cave and sat cross-legged in the void. Mysterious Supreme Dao marks filled the air, incomparably powerful. Let's hope that everything goes well. A sliver of worry appeared in Long Lai's eyes. He slowly closed his eyes and disappeared into the void. Time Cave. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the middle of the time flower petals. Mysterious laws pervaded the air, but Ling Xiao's heart shook. He could feel that the heaven's fate art had begun to operate in a strange state in such a state. The 160 ancient runes floated out of Ling Xiao's body and coiled around him. Mysterious aura interweaved between them, and the surrounding law threads pervaded the air. This allowed Ling Xiao's comprehension of the heaven's fate art to increase rapidly. Observing the Tao of Heaven, holding the Tao of Heaven, a mysterious fluctuation spread out in Ling Xiao's heart. The 160 ancient runes seemed to have transformed into a mysterious armor that was instantly imprinted on Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. Unfortunately, this state was too short. Light flashed in front of Ling Xiao's eyes, and he had already entered the time cave. His comprehension of the heaven's fate art was interrupted. This was a valley shrouded in clouds and mist. In front of them was a misty lake. It looked very calm and peaceful with mist lingering around it. The surroundings were towering mountains that pierced through the clouds. They were majestic and exuded an ancient and desolate aura. The sky was very high and blue. Warm sunlight shone down from the 9 heavens. It was clean and peaceful, as if it was a mythical world. The air contained an incomparably majestic and pure spiritual energy. With a slight breath, one could feel all the pores on one's body open up. It was very comfortable. There were all kinds of strange flowers and herbs around the lake. At a glance, they were all precious spiritual herbs that had grown for hundreds or thousands of years. There were even a few king herbs in the distance that were exuding spiritual energy. Buzz, Taoist Wuliang and the others instantly came out of the heavenly stone. Is this the world in the time cave? It looks very peaceful. There's no danger? Long Outyan's eyes darted around as he looked around and smiled. Roar. However, as soon as his voice fell, a loud beast roar came from the mountain range in the distance. The roar was like thunder and was extremely terrifying. Moreover, a ferocious and monstrous aura pervaded the air. It's the aura of an immemorial beast. Could there really be a complete immemorial beast here? Long Zhantian's eyes revealed a trace of dignified look. Just now, the roar of the beast made him feel a kind of frightened feeling. The world in the time cave is not simple. Not only are there immemorial beasts, but there are also ancient races. They are very resistant to outsiders. Everyone better be careful. Taoist Wuliang's eyes revealed a trace of light as he slowly said. We are 5 million miles away from the Time Temple, where the Heaven's Choice Convention will be held. It's not too far nor too close. If we want to cross this unfamiliar world in a year, everyone should be careful. Ling Xiao looked at the information left behind by the Time God General and said slowly. Everyone had a location in the Time Temple that guided everyone's direction and actions. Rumble. At this moment, the calm lake in front of them suddenly fluctuated violently. Endless mist rose and the lake water turned into mist. An incomparably huge beast rushed out of the lake. Roar. A deafening roar came head-on. The ferocious and monstrous aura made everyone's expression change. Chapter 762. In front of them, the endless lake water evaporated and dried up in an instant. A huge black snake that was thousands of feet long rushed out from the lake. It had only one head but 2 bodies. Its body was covered with black scales. It raised its flat head and stuck out its huge forked tongue. Its pair of blood-red moon-like eyes were filled with coldness and bloodlust. This is the primordial variant Fei? Lin Hui was shocked and could not help but exclaim. The strange snake in front of them, with only one head and 2 bodies, seemed to be able to devour all the vitality. The surrounding land began to dry up at a speed visible to the naked eye. The exotic flowers and plants were also sucked out of their vitality and turned into dust. This was the primordial variant Fei. Judging from its aura, it was not far from the demon venerable realm. Roar, the Fei roared. Suddenly, it spat out a mouthful of stinky liquid toward the crowd. Disperse. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and he flew up into the sky. The real devouring fire spread out from his body and burned the liquid into ashes in an instant. Boom. Ling Xiao threw out a punch and a terrifying fist radiance burst out. It was mixed with the sound of a dragon's roar and aimed directly at the Fei's eyes. The Fei seemed to be angry. Its whole body trembled violently. Its black scales clanged and swept across the sky. Its huge snake tail was like a blade, slashing toward Ling Xiao. Clang! Sparks flew in all directions. Ling Xiao's punch hit the snake's tail. Suddenly, several black scales were smashed and blood spread out. Roar, roar, roar! The Fei was in great pain and seemed to have completely gone berserk. Black demonic qi gushed out from its body. It contained a force that could devour heaven and earth. It seemed to be able to devour all the energy and shrouded the crowd. Let's kill this Fei together. Long Zhantian's eyes flashed and a golden ancient sword appeared in his hand. His whole body was full of dragon power, and he slashed toward the Fei. Rumble! Taoist Wuliang, Li Jingming, Lin Hui, the moon goddess and the phoenix girl all launched attacks and displayed their peerless killing power toward the Fei. Although the Fei was very strong and was a primordial variant, it was no match for Ling Xiao and the others. It was quickly killed and blood splattered everywhere. It did not even have the chance to escape. The Fei is a supreme delicacy and is very nutritious. Ha ha ha, you are all in luck. Taoist Wuyang's eyes lit up. He rushed up to collect the Fei's body, and said with a complacent smile, Rumble. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the ground began to tremble. In the distant mountain peak, the roars of beasts shook the sky. A group of extremely terrifying auras were rushing over at lightning speed. The Fei's blood. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He hurriedly retracted his aura and flew into the distance. Behind them, there was a huge flaming lion, a huge tiger that was dozens of feet tall, an ape that beat its chest with its arms, and a huge black bear. The ground was filled with smoke and dust. A group of ferocious beasts was chasing after Ling Xiao and the others. Those ferocious beasts were at least at the demon royal realm. Many of them were half-step demon venerables. Ling Xiao even sensed that a few of the leading ferocious beasts were at the demon venerable realm. They were extremely terrifying. A group of primordial ferocious beasts rushed out from the mountains. Ling Xiao and the others killed the Fei. It was like poking a hornet's nest, causing a group of primordial ferocious beasts to riot. Rumble! The ground shook and the mountains trembled. Countless towering ancient trees were smashed into pieces. Rocks flew everywhere. Everything in front of them was smashed into pieces. Ling Xiao and the others were in a very difficult situation. They ran for thousands of miles before they got rid of the group of ferocious beasts. We are too big of a target if we stay together. Let's split up. Taoist Wuliang said slowly. His eyes flashed. All right. This Suiyu cave is indeed very strange. Everyone must be careful. Ling Xiao and the others discussed for a while. Everyone nodded in agreement. In the end, Taoist Wuliang left with Yuanwan. It was said that he wanted to find an opportunity for Yuanwan to improve her cultivation. Ling Xiao knew Taoist Wuliang's nature, so he was not worried about him. Lin Hui, Li Jingming and Long Zhantian all chose to leave alone. Lin Hui's feelings towards Ling Xiao were very complicated. He was grateful and jealous. He was naturally very happy to not see Ling Xiao and the Phoenix girl together. Li Jingming and Long Zhantian also wanted to explore the Suiyu cave to find an opportunity to pass the tribulation of the four symbols and improve their cultivation. In the end, only Ling Xiao, the moon goddess, the Phoenix girl and Long Outyin were left. Cousin, where are we going now? Long Outyin blinked his big eyes. He was full of curiosity about everything around him. He also wanted to leave alone, but he knew that Ling Xiao would definitely not let him go alone. So he could only resentfully give up. The map that your father gave you shows that the place of inheritance of the Dragon Clan ancestor is in a mountain range 100,000 miles away from here. It's in the same direction as the Suiyu Temple. Let's go there and take a look. Ling Xiao took out the map that Long Lai gave him, and said slowly after glancing at it. The inheritance of the Dragon Clan ancestor? Huh. Let's go. Could it be that the Dragon Clan ancestor had already become a god? I wonder if he left me a supreme divine weapon, or a peerless divine skill. Long Outyan's eyes lit up as he said excitedly. Why are you so talkative? We'll know when we get there. Ling Xiao glared at him helplessly. Long Outyan was like a child with ADHD. He could not stay still for even a moment. If not for Long Lai's instructions, Ling Xiao really wanted to throw him to Long Zhantian. Whoosh! Ling Xiao took Long Outyin, the moon goddess and the phoenix girl. They instantly restrained their auras and carefully flew up into the sky towards the location on the map. In the sky above the Suiyu cave, there were powerful flying beasts. Moreover, all of them were ancient variants. They were very terrifying. This place was like a forgotten mythical world. It was full of a desolate and ancient aura. This mountain range was very vast. Many divine mountains soared into the sky. They were tens of thousands of feet high. They were majestic and magnificent. Countless fierce beasts were roaring in them. Ling Xiao even saw some unlucky warriors who happened to descend into the mountain range. They were torn to pieces by a group of fierce beasts. Their miserable howls before they died were very horrifying. Not only on the ground, even the sky was not safe. Chapter 763. Just like that, Ling Xiao and the other three flew dangerously for 100,000 miles. After a day, they finally arrived at the location marked on the map. Is this the place? This looks like a barren mountain. There's nothing here. Long Outyan's eyes widened as he said doubtfully. In front of Ling Xiao and the other three were a few barren mountains. They seemed to be thousands of feet tall, and there was no vegetation. Moreover, there was a blazing aura that seemed to be able to burn everything. The further they walked, the more Ling Xiao saw a sea of lava flowing in the valley. The walls on both sides of the valley were sparkling like jade. There's someone there. Phoenix Maiden's eyes flashed as she pointed ahead. There were many cultivators at the edge of the sea of lava. They seemed to be carefully searching for something. Those cultivators were all Monarch Realm cultivators, but they didn't dare to get close to the sea of lava. It was as if they would be swallowed by the lava if they weren't careful. When Ling Xiao and the other three arrived at the entrance of the valley, they saw 4 young monks in red robes. They were all half-step honorable martial artists. They were guarding the entrance of the valley, and their eyes were shining brightly. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. These people were actually monks from Mingwang Temple. Why is Mingwang Temple guarding this valley? According to the map that Long Lai gave Ling Xiao, the inheritance of the dragon tribe's ancestor was in this valley. It seemed like they would have to clash with Mingwang Temple if they wanted to obtain the inheritance. Ling Xiao and the other three didn't hide their tracks in front of the valley. They were instantly discovered by the 4 monks from Mingwang Temple. Who are you people? What are you trying to do by sneaking around? One of the monks from Mingwang Temple shouted coldly, his eyes filled with coldness. They obviously didn't recognize Ling Xiao, Phoenix Maiden, and the others. Their eyes were filled with coldness. When their gazes landed on the Phoenix Lady and the Moon Goddess, they couldn't move their gazes away. Moon Goddess and Phoenix Maiden. One was like a goddess from the Moon Palace, otherworldly and otherworldly. The other was a peerless beauty. She exuded endless charm and was extremely beautiful. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to resist them. The 4 monks from Mingwang Temple looked at the Moon Goddess and the Phoenix Maiden with undisguised passion in their eyes. Ladies, I see that both of you are fated with Buddhism. Why don't you convert to Buddhism and join the Mingwang Temple? Then, you can share nirvana with us. What do you think? One of the monks from Mingwang Temple smiled and gave the other 3 a look. Instantly, they walked up and surrounded Ling Xiao and the other 3. Ling Xiao was stunned. Was this monk from Mingwang Temple a monk or a pervert? How could he be so impatient to reveal his true face? Phoenix Maiden and Moon God's faces turned cold. Scram! The Phoenix woman's temper was the most explosive. She immediately frowned and shouted coldly, "This little girl's temper is really fiery. But Lord Zeng likes little chillies like you the most. Come with Lord Zeng obediently. Otherwise, don't blame Lord Zeng for using force." One of the monks from Mingwang Temple chuckled. His eyes were filled with evil intentions. Ling Xiao, the Phoenix Maiden, and the Moon Goddess had concealed their auras. At this moment, their auras were extremely weak. They hadn't even reached the Monarch Realm. Therefore, the 4 monks from Mingwang Temple were extremely arrogant. It was as if they thought that the Phoenix Maiden and the Moon Goddess were already theirs. "Masters, are you trying to rape them? They are my cousin's wives. My cousin won't be happy if you do this." Long Outyin stood up and blinked his eyes innocently as he spoke. The moon goddess and the phoenix maiden's eyes were filled with murderous intent. They stared at the 4 monks from Mingwang Temple, as if they were going to kill them in the next moment. Your cousin? Ha! Little girl. How can you be happier with your cousin than with us? Lord Zeng is in a good mood today. I don't feel like killing anyone. You and your cousin can scram. Leave these 2 ladies behind. One of the monks from Mingwang Temple sneered. Masters, you're all monks. Aren't you afraid that you'll tarnish the reputation of Mingwang Temple by kidnapping innocent women? Long Outyin pretended to be angry and said, Tarnish the reputation of Mingwang Temple? Ha ha. Little girl, since you're asking for death, don't blame Lord Zeng for it. As long as I kill all of you, who will know that I've kidnapped innocent women? The monk from Mingwang Temple glared at Ling Xiao and Long Outyin coldly as he walked towards them. Ling Xiao shook his head. He could not be bothered to continue the pretense with them. Mingwang Temple is indeed a bunch of filthy scumbags, he said flatly. They are indeed a bunch of lecherous scumbags. However, since you've offended me today, don't blame me for cleaning up the mess on behalf of your Buddha. Boom. A powerful aura emanated from Ling Xiao's body. He punched out and a terrifying fist glow instantly suppressed the 4 monks from Mingwang Temple. Sensing the terrifying aura from Ling Xiao, the 4 monks from Mingwang Temple were shocked. They knew that they had messed with someone they could not afford to offend. They hurriedly said, Sir, please stop. We were just joking with you. Let's talk things through. Talk your ass off. Long Outyin sneered and punched one of the monks from Mingwang Temple. The dragon's aura around him was majestic, and his fist glow was unparalleled. Swoosh. Phoenix Lady and Yueshin couldn't hold it in any longer. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent as they unleashed their most powerful attacks. Boom. Ling Xiao's punch was earth-shattering. The terrifying fist radiance sent the 4 monks of Mingwang Temple flying, causing them to spit out a mouthful of blood at the same time. Their eyes were filled with terror. The 4 monks from Mingwang Temple wanted to cry, but no tears came out. They thought that they had met a pushover and wanted to bully them. They didn't expect the 4 of them to be human-shaped tyrannosauruses. Even the cute little boy was so terrifying. Boom. Long Outyin's punch landed on the chest of one of the monks from Mingwang Temple. A crisp sound was heard and his chest caved in. The monk from Mingwang Temple cried out in pain and was sent flying again. Buzz. Yueshin pointed her finger like a sword. She pointed her slender finger, and a ray of moonlight sword radiance shot across the sky. It contained an ethereal aura, and was extremely fast. The glabella of one of the monks from Mingwang Temple split open. Yueshin's finger had pierced through his glabella and destroyed his primordial spirit. Boom. On the other side, Phoenix Lady's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She was surrounded by blazing flames, and an ancient fan with a red glow appeared in her hand. She fanned it across the sky and black true fire of the phoenix appeared. That was the phoenix tail flaming sky fan. It was a powerful supreme weapon that contained a terrifying supreme power. The monk from Mingwang Temple was sent flying by Ling Xiao and was caught in the true fire of the phoenix. He was instantly engulfed in flames. Ah! The monk from Mingwang Temple cried out in pain. He struggled violently but was unable to extinguish the flames on his body. Soon he was reduced to ashes. How dare you kill a disciple of Mingwang Temple? An aged and icy cold voice resounded, and it carried undisguised ghastly killing intent. Swoosh. Swoosh. 2 figures with terrifying auras charged out from the valley. Their cold murderous intent locked onto Ling Xiao and the other 3 monks. Chapter 764. They were 2 monks in red kasayas. They looked very old, and their beards and eyebrows were white. Their eyes were filled with cold killing intent. These 2 monks were half-honorable martial artists of the 4 divine tribulations. The aura that they exuded was extremely terrifying. However, Ling Xiao did not even look at them. He threw out a punch, and the blazing fist radiance was like a real dragon, pressing down on the other 2 monks from Mingwang Temple. How dare you! Killing intent flashed in the eyes of the 2 old monks. They roared and charged at Ling Xiao from both sides. The terrifying fist prints seemed to have lit up the entire world, and they were extremely dazzling. This was the supreme killing skill of Mingwang Temple, the Great Light Fist Print. It contained the supreme will of light. Countless fist intents stacked together, as if they were going to crush everything into dust. They were attacking Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao managed to kill the two monks, their Great Light Fist would still land on Ling Xiao. Martial Granduncle, save me. The two young monks seemed to have seen a ray of hope as they screamed. They were extremely regretful now. Who would have thought that these guys had concealed their aura, and were so terrifying? Especially Ling Xiao. When his fist landed, they felt as though their minds had been taken away, and they had lost all will to fight. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly. It was as though a golden dragon had swept out from behind him, and it contained a majestic dragon's might. Boom. His fist radiance was dazzling, and it did not stop at all. The two young monks from Mingwang Temple were instantly blown apart by his fist, and they exploded into a bloody mist in the air. Bang! The Great Light Fist print of the two old monks from Mingwang Temple was indeed powerful. It was thick and powerful, and it directly pierced through the golden dragon behind Ling Xiao. It then landed heavily on Ling Xiao's back. Go to hell! The terrifying Great Light Fist print exploded, and the two old monks from Mingwang Temple revealed a cold killing intent in their eyes. Clang! However, in the next moment their expressions changed. When the fist landed on Ling Xiao's body, the expected scene of Ling Xiao being killed by a single punch did not happen. Instead, sparks flew in all directions, as if the fist had landed on an extremely hard mountain. Ling Xiao's entire body glowed with a resplendent golden light. A powerful rebounding force emanated from Ling Xiao's body. Bang! The two old monks felt their arms go numb. They were about to lose all feeling in their arms as they were sent flying. Their eyes were filled with horror. How is this possible? It was only at this moment that they took a closer look at the young man before them. He was merely a half-Jizuan who hadn't even overcome the Great Earth Tribulation. So how could he possess such terrifying battle prowess? You're Ling Xiao. An old monk suddenly thought of something and cried out in alarm. His eyes were filled with an extremely ugly expression. You're right, but there's no prize. Ling Xiao's gaze was as cold as steel as he charged towards the two monks from Mingwang Temple. This valley was the place where the ancestors of the dragon tribe had left behind their inheritance. The fact that the monks from Mingwang Temple were guarding this valley meant that they had discovered something. Hence, Ling Xiao instantly made the decision to kill all the monks from Mingwang Temple. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Ling Xiao's cold voice rang out. Phoenix Woman and Yueshin's eyes flashed sharply as they charged towards the valley at the same time. Hee, bald donkeys from Mingwang Temple. You can only blame yourselves for being unlucky to have met me. Long Outyin chuckled as he charged into the valley. Ling Xiao, are you really going to make Mingwang Temple your enemy? Let us go and we promise that we won't find trouble with you ever again. The two old monks from Mingwang Temple hurriedly shouted out. Knowing that the person before them was Ling Xiao, the two monks from Mingwang Temple no longer had any desire to fight. This was a ruthless person who had killed a Jizuan. Although their battle prowess was not bad, they were no match for Ling Xiao. It's too late. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold as he spoke indifferently. In an instant, he unleashed his ultimate killing move. Rumble. Ling Xiao's dragon's might was vast and his fist was shocking. Ling Xiao's battle prowess was completely unleashed. Although the two old monks from Mingwang Temple were strong, they were still killed by Ling Xiao in the end. Their primordial spirits were also suppressed by the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron. Ling Xiao did not hesitate to use the soul-searching secret technique to search their primordial spirits for any relevant information. Did Ming Fei from Mingwang Temple discover the difference in this place? Looks like I have to hurry. Otherwise, when she returns, there will be trouble. Just as Ling Xiao had guessed, Ming Fei from Mingwang Temple had also discovered the mystical things in this valley. Ming Fei from Mingwang Temple was the #1 genius disciple of Mingwang Temple. As for the so-called Ming Revered, including the one that Ling Xiao had killed, there were a total of 5 people. All of them were Ming Fei's lovers. The two old monks were extremely wary of Ming Fei. They guessed that Ming Fei already had the battle prowess to enter the master's honor roll. She was just keeping a low profile. Even when the two old monks joined forces, they could not last more than one move from Ming Fei. So the grade 12 blood lotus is Ming Fei's treasure? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a strange light. From the primordial spirits of the two old monks, he discovered that the grade 12 blood lotus was actually a treasure that Ming Fei had refined. She had only lent it to Ming Revered, and it had ended up benefiting Ling Xiao. The grade 12 blood lotus was still in the Empyrean God Stone. Ling Xiao did not refine it for fear of alerting Ming Fei. He did not expect to meet Ming Fei here. Whoosh! Ling Zhao's figure flashed, and he instantly shot into the valley. The battle within the valley had already been resolved. The two old monks and the 4 monks who stood guard at the entrance of the valley were the strongest experts of the Wise King Temple. The rest were all disciples at the Monarch Realm, and they'd been killed by Feng Nu Moon Goddess and Long Outyen. If it was in the past, perhaps the Phoenix Maiden and Moon Goddess would have hesitated to kill so many disciples. But when they saw so many young women being defiled in the valley, and how miserable their deaths were, they were completely enraged. How is Mingwang Temple a holy land of Buddhism? They're worse than pigs and dogs. They're even worse than the demon sect. They're a bunch of scum. Feng Nu gnashed her teeth as she spoke. Her eyes were filled with rage. She swept the phoenix tail flaming fan, and a blazing flame instantly spread out, burning all the disciples of Mingwang Temple to ashes. Mingwang Temple has long deviated from the true meaning of Buddhism. It's just an external demon now. If you encounter anyone from Mingwang Temple in the future, just kill them all. Ling Zhao's gaze was cold as well. He stared at the women who had been defiled for a long time before he spoke slowly. Let's hurry up. If the others from Mingwang Temple return, I'm afraid there will be trouble. Chapter 765. Rumble. The magma sea was extremely hot, flowing with blazing flames. The rolling magma sea contained an extremely pure fire attribute spiritual qi. Even a powerful Dao artifact would be melted into molten iron instantly. Ling Xiao even felt that even a half-step sovereign would not be able to withstand such blazing flames. Outyen, can you sense anything? Ling Xiao glanced at Long Outyen. Since Long Lai said that the inheritance here belonged to Long Outyen, there must be a deeper meaning. Long Outyen walked around the magma sea. Suddenly his eyes flashed and he said, "Cousin, I can feel that there is a mysterious force in the middle of the magma sea that is calling out to me." "Is it really in the magma sea? Very well. All of you follow me into the divine stone. Let's find out what's in the magma sea." Ling Zhao's eyes flashed and the 4 of them entered the divine stone. The divine stone turned into a stream of light and shot into the magma sea. In the magma sea, there were flowing flames mixed with the blazing magma sea. It was extremely terrifying. The deeper they went into the magma sea, the more they could feel the blazing energy. There were even colorful flames spreading and surging magma sea in all directions. There is only ordinary earth core magma fire above, but there is grand sun primordial fire below. The Phoenix Maiden was shocked. After going 100 feet into the magma sea, she could feel that there was grand sun primordial fire around her. It was extremely hot. It's not just grand sun primordial fire. Look, what is that? The moon deity's eyes flashed as she pointed ahead. There were wisps of mist spreading and finally, they turned into tiny dragon-shaped flames. They intertwined with each other like a huge cocoon. Divine dragon fire? It seems like there is an expert from the dragon tribe who has become a deity here. Ling Xiao said slowly as a strange look appeared in his eyes. Those dragon-shaped flames seemed to be filled with spirituality as they swam in the magma sea. However, Ling Xiao could feel the terrifying energy contained within them. Swoosh! Ling Xiao controlled the Empyrean Divine Stone and instantly broke through that layer of fire cocoon. His vision suddenly became clear. This was a huge underground cave. Although the aura was still scorching, it was still bearable for ordinary people. However, the layer of dragon-shaped flames above his head, at the entrance of the mountain peak, was still moving in all directions, emitting a terrifyingly hot energy. Ling Xiao could sense that even a supreme being expert would find it difficult to penetrate the seal of the divine dragon fire. This is the skeleton of a senior dragon. Long Outyan's voice trembled, and he became serious. In front of Ling Xiao and the others was a gigantic dragon skeleton that was tens of thousands of feet long. It was pure gold in color, and the dragon skeleton was translucent. It looked like the most exquisite piece of art. The gigantic dragon skeleton stretched for tens of thousands of meters, lying in this gigantic underground cave, and emitted a monstrous dragon's might, causing one's heart to tremble. Divine dragon bone. It really is the divine dragon bone. Ling Xiao sighed softly, his eyes shining brightly. Even though he had already condensed the bloodline of a true dragon, he could still feel his bloodline trembling in the face of this dragon bone. Furthermore, the ripples emanating from this dragon bone had already surpassed the aura of a supreme being. This was a dragon clan expert of the divine spirit realm. There is a gigantic fingerprint here. Someone killed this expert of the dragon clan with just a finger. Phoenix Maiden's voice was heard. Ling Xiao and Long Outyan hurriedly flew over. At the position of the dragon's head, the gigantic dragon's head was like a small mountain. However, there was a black fingerprint between the eyebrows of the dragon. It had actually pierced through the dragon's eyebrows, and perhaps even the primordial spirit. There were no traces of any soul ripples. There is the aura of an extraterrestrial demon. It seems like the one who killed this senior of the dragon clan must be an extraterrestrial demon. Ling Xiao said slowly. Although the black fingerprint was very faint, Ling Xiao was still sensitive enough to detect the aura of an extraterrestrial demon. Furthermore, looking at this divine dragon bone, it was probably at least hundreds of thousands of years ago, or even millions of years ago. Ling Xiao guessed that this divine dragon senior had participated in the battle a million years ago. In that case, this time cave was very likely to be the remains of the battle a million years ago. Outyan, bring this senior of the dragon clan back and bury him in the dragon transformation pool, or the dragon tomb. This should be the unfulfilled wish of this senior. Ling Xiao sighed softly. However, what puzzled him was that from the beginning to the end, they did not detect any ripples of inheritance from the divine dragon bone. Could it be that Long Lai only wanted Ling Xiao and Long Outyan to bring the divine dragon's bone back? That should not be possible. Ling Xiao examined it carefully again, and finally found some golden runes at the dragon's head. This is the secret bloodline inheritance of the dragon clan? Ling Xiao's eyes widened, as if he had thought of something. Secret bloodline inheritance? It seems to be true. It seems like the inheritance left behind by this divine dragon senior is hidden here. Long Outyan said with some surprise. The secret bloodline inheritance of the dragon clan used the bloodline as the source and merged with the power of the laws of heaven and earth to form a powerful inheritance power. Only the bloodline of the dragon clan could accept this inheritance power. Outyan, come and try. Ling Xiao said slowly. All right. Long Outyan nodded and immediately sat down with his legs crossed. Rumble. A gush of golden blood rose. Long Outyan's blood was as vigorous as the sea. There seemed to be a dragon's roar behind him. A powerful bloodline power spread towards the divine dragon bone and instantly imprinted on the golden runes. The divine dragon bone began to vibrate. Golden runes slowly floated up. The divine dragon bone exuded a powerful dragon aura, as if it had come alive. A gush of golden blood rushed out from the divine dragon bone and instantly enveloped Long Outyan. At the same time, Ling Xiao's true dragon bloodline also began to vibrate. The secret skill of the ancestral dragon began to circulate automatically. A majestic aura filled the air. As if it had sensed Ling Xiao's aura, a gush of golden blood rushed towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao's bloodline seemed to be boiling. Golden flames curled around his body, and a mysterious power began to spread around him. Even Ling Xiao did not expect such a change. However, when the majestic bloodline power rushed towards him, Ling Xiao could only guard his mind and begin to refine the power. At the same time, he began to comprehend the mysterious information that was transmitted from the bloodline. Phoenix woman, Yueshan, please protect me and Outyan. Be careful of the people from Mingwang Temple. Chapter 766. Rumble. The majestic power of the bloodline surged forth, containing a powerful and mysterious dragon aura. That power was incomparably majestic. In front of it, Ling Xiao felt like he was just an ant. In a trance, he seemed to have returned to 1,000,000 years ago. A 10,000 feet long golden divine dragon roamed the heavens, bathed in blood, fighting to the death among countless extraterrestrial demons. With a sweep of the dragon's tail, a large number of extraterrestrial demons would explode. With a swipe of the dragon's claws, the extraterrestrial demons' brains would burst open, and they would die a violent death. I am Long, the leader of the dragon clan in the Zhenlong Great World. I followed Lord Demon Saint to battle the extraterrestrial demons, exterminated the extraterrestrial demons, and swept across the heavens. A mysterious and ancient voice reverberated in Ling Xiao's mind. Ling Xiao's heart trembled. This was the message left behind by the divine dragon's skeleton. It was hidden in the bloodline. Ling Xiao absorbed the power of the bloodline and naturally activated this message. Following the description of the message, Ling Xiao finally understood the identity of this divine dragon skeleton. It turned out that this divine dragon skeleton was called Long, and he was the leader of the dragon clan in the Zhenlong Great World. However, due to the invasion of the extraterrestrial demons, the Zhenlong Great World collapsed. Long followed Demon Saint to battle the extraterrestrial demons, and countless experts of the dragon clan died in battle. Even Long died in the hands of a heavenly demon god, and his corpse was left behind in the war god Great World. So the dragon clan is not from the war god Great World, but from the Zhenlong Great World? Looks like it's the same as the Azura clan, Panga clan, and the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Speaking of which, this Long was the ancestor of Long Lai and Long Outyan. His background was very frightening. The leader of the dragon clan in the Zhenlong Great World, a peerless expert who had stepped into the divine spirit realm, was killed by a single finger of the extraterrestrial demon. The power of the extraterrestrial demon made people shudder. Moreover, in the message left behind by Long, there were two mysterious scriptures. Emperor Dragon Scripture. 10,000 Dragons God-Slaying Technique. Ling Xiao didn't have time to look at these two scriptures. Suddenly, the terrifying power of the bloodline exploded in Ling Xiao's body. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a golden glow, and the divine light was dazzling. His physical body had already reached the pinnacle of the celestial dragon body, and he had condensed the bloodline of the true dragon. The majestic bloodline of the divine dragon surged into his body, immediately causing a mysterious transformation to take place in his body. Runes filled the air, and within Ling Xiao's body, there seemed to be billions of tiny golden dragons intertwining. They were devouring the boundless divine power, and growing continuously. Ling Xiao felt like his body was about to explode. Even if there was only one divine dragon bloodline, it was still the power of a deity. It was not something he could bear at the moment. Ling Xiao used the heaven-devouring mystic skill and the wordless heavenly book to refine the divine dragon bloodline. I wonder if proud heaven can withstand this power? Ling Xiao was extremely worried. However, he could not detect Long Outyan's condition. He could only focus on devouring the power of the divine dragon bloodline. Boom! Ling Xiao's body was overflowing with light, and the golden divine light intertwined to form the shape of a dragon. It was like a huge cocoon that enveloped Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's physical strength had already reached a limit. However, under the impact of the divine dragon bloodline, he felt like his physical body had broken through the limit, becoming more and more terrifying. Dragon scales appeared on the surface of Ling Xiao's skin. His bones, bloodline, and physical body began to be engraved with layers of golden runes. That was the bloodline of the dragon tribe, and also the recognition of the heavenly way. It contained the profound meaning of the dragon. I'll take this opportunity to overcome the earth's calamity. Ling Xiao shouted in his heart, and immediately began to charge towards the earth's calamity. Rumble. As if some kind of heavenly way had been triggered, Ling Xiao's physical body exuded a terrifying fluctuation. On the ground, there was a vast amount of yellow mist that spread out and surged madly into Ling Xiao's body. Rumble. The yellow mist was the origin qi, and it had merged with the heavenly way. It seemed to have turned into a small blade of light, and it exploded in Ling Xiao's body. That peerlessly terrifying power seemed to want to grind Ling Xiao's physical body into dust. The surface of Ling Xiao's skin began to crack. Even though he was devouring the divine dragon bloodline, it was still difficult for him to withstand this terrifying earth tribulation. Supreme beings were recognized by the laws of the world, possessing a lifespan of 10,000 years. They were peerless experts in this world, standing at the peak of the human Tao. If one wanted to become a supreme, they had to undergo the tribulation of the four symbols and the tempering of the supreme tribulation. The tribulations of the four symbols were the forces of earth, water, wind, and fire. They were respectively the tribulation of earth, tribulation of black water, tribulation of heavenly wind, and tribulation of blazing fire. The great earth tribulation descended. His physical body collapsed and was rebuilt after being destroyed, achieving a flawless body. The calamity of black water descended. His spiritual qi was removed, and the impurities were washed away. He achieved the born Taoism aptitude. The tribulation of heavenly wind descended, shattering the primordial spirit. 10,000 tribulations struck the body, forming a pure yang primordial spirit. The tribulation of fire descended, and the three treasures of essence, energy, and spirit underwent the tribulation at the same time. Under the burning of the flames of the heavenly Tao, Zhou became one. The three flowers converged, and the five energies converged. After transcending the tribulation of the four symbols, one would be able to become a peerless supreme after transcending the tribulation of the 9 symbols. Each of these 5 major tribulations was incomparably difficult and required a lot of accumulation. Some people even needed hundreds or thousands of years to temper their physical body. However, the peerless geniuses of the martial Tao Holy Lands had an endless supply of resources from their sections. The 3 treasures of essence, energy, and energy were quickly polished to perfection, and quickly transcended the tribulation of the 4 symbols. However, the last tribulation of the 9 symbols faced the crushing force of the heavenly Tao. Everyone was incomparably cautious, and did not dare to recklessly transcend the tribulation. Ling Xiao's previous accumulation was too great. The stronger his physical body, the stronger the earth tribulation would naturally be. This was also the reason why Ling Xiao did not wait to condense a true dragon body to undergo the tribulation of the 9 symbols. If he condensed a true dragon body and possessed a peerless combat body that could kill supremes, even the heavenly Tao would not tolerate him when he transcended the tribulation of the 9 symbols. It could be said that he would die without a doubt. Even now, Ling Xiao's accumulation could be said to be unprecedented. The Xianhuang earth qi in the surrounding 30,000 miles surged, and the laws of heaven and earth spread out, as if they wanted to completely crush him into dust. Crack. Ling Xiao's body was covered in cracks like a broken piece of porcelain. It was as if he would explode at any moment. Streams of Xianhuang earth qi lingered, and the laws of heaven and earth wreaked havoc in his body. The bloodline qi in Ling Xiao's body surged, and the divine dragon bloodline was endlessly integrated into his body, maintaining the circulation of his body. If it were not for the divine dragon bloodline, Ling Xiao felt that he would have to pay a great price to transcend the earth tribulation. Buzz. A faint fluctuation surged from the ground and spread towards Ling Xiao's body. Every time it shook, his physical body would shatter more and more, as if it would explode at any moment. However, the divine dragon bloodline was firmly sucking his physical body into a single entity. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.